mission, on mission. I'm trying to get it right. Transition, changing the way that I see life. Transitioning mind. I'm on a mission, trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life. Making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, ooh. Turn a mission, I'm on a mission. On a mission, I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transition in my life. On a mission, on a mission, on a mission.
Welcome. This is Alchemizing Energy. We're back at it once again. We have Baba Yashabiyah here, and we're going to be talking about the principles of IFA. Once again, this on a Sunday evening. We do this series every Sunday, and we talk about the religion of IFA and just different other concepts when it comes to do with religion. I wanted to play a video that happened recently this week and get your opinion on it. And it was actually featuring 607 Unk, and he was talking about the work that Chief Yandaya had did for him. She does the sound therapy, and I wanted to get an idea of what are some of your thoughts on the sound therapy and his take on things as far as how he feels about it, because he's talks about that he's an angel of death. So I wanted to get your opinion on this.
Still dead. I'm walking dead. Like everybody else.
So what do you think when you talk about the past? You say that
They go pay.
Okay.
Life is moment to moment. Every decision you make open a new door for a new moment, a new reality. We live in multi-reality universe with multi what's that word? What is like multi
dimensions?
No, it isn't multi-dimension, but it's another word. It looks like multi possibilities.
Multiple possibilities.
Yeah. Life is full of possibilities. Everything has a lot of possibilities, and everybody trying to get them one. That's why school is wrong. You go to school and they tell you something that you only got 3 choices, but I don't fuck at the 3 choices when it's really a million. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. It's more than one way to skin a cat. And you don't even eat a cat.
So when you say that the past it doesn't exist, so you would say you're not the same person.
How do you make the past don't exist? Life is moment to moment. There's no such thing as the past. Time is linear, right?
So what about who you were when you were 5? What
do you mean what I was when I was 5? It's been the same person, the same thing as the dream. I'm a projection. I'm a projection from the moon and the sun.
What are your thoughts on some of those things that he's saying in that particular thing?
Of course, he's right on point, because only thing that is past with us is in the memory, but everything that we do is already in the present. There's not anything we talk about the past. That's a conversation, but everything we do is in the present, and I have to go along with that. Go ahead.
So what does IFA say about what does the religion IFA say about that particular?
Because we've already chose our path and destiny. Everything is like an ongoing script. You haven't got to go back and repeat it. Everything is already in motion, and that means that from step to step, day to day. This is why I like the topic, because we tend to want to put IFA into a box. IFA is not a religion. It is a spiritual journey, a science that keep us moving toward our purpose and our assignment. You don't go back and look for it. We advance, and there's some things that I have to agree with on that, because it depends on your position and your level of spirituality as you interpret things as they are. We're not all the same, sister. You know, we all have our level of so-called consciousness, and that's where it comes in, based on your level of consciousness and comprehension, how you identify or recognize things. So where he's at, like I told people before, Unc is on a whole different vibration. He may sound like crazy and lunatic in outer space, but this young man is on a total, whole nother vibration. And there are those that are gravitating to that level now, because it is time for us to move forward and quit looking in the rearview mirror.
So Baba, you know, I noticed that he was talking about like there being like multiple universes, and where we have time is not being linear, and that we have that you basically moment to moment you make a choice, and that determines, like, you almost go into a different world each choice you make. Let's listen to the rest of what he had to say.
It's a
Okay.
3D reality game. Where I'm not real. Said I was real. I'm not a real boy. I'm not a real boy.
Like Pinocchio, or what is it called?
You think I'm lying?
No,
What's so funny? I'm not a real boy. You think I'm a real boy? My skin not real. My skin is made of molecules and shit. Like I wasn't.
I guess that's what matters. Right?
Yeah, look, matter ain't no matter. The only thing that matter is they told me that it was the matter and they lied. But that would matter. Yeah, family don't matter. Yeah,
Family doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't know about Steve Urkel and shit. Those shit matter.
Wow. So
You know, I think he talks in riddles. You have to get what he's saying. Do you think he's like speaking in riddles in a way?
Well, you know, that's one of the things that your disciples accused Jesus of. Sir, you speak in parables, and dark parables teaches the parables. So if you understand, and back in the day, using that term, a lot of our ancestors, they only spoke in parables, and they had certain slangs that they use, and you had to decide what it means. And that's the way he talks, the same way. So yeah, he's speaking in parables and similes, but that's the way our people talk back in the day. You know, they didn't see
Mm.
things spread out. You know, we had cliches and parables we would use. My mom was known for this. You could met my mama. You thought she was need to be put in a straight jacket and locked away. She might walk and see you and say, "Well, Miss Carol, how you doing?" So, baby girl, your front's good, but your back is out. Huh?
Yeah, my
My,
mom used to say stuff like, "Don't get caught with your pants down."
yeah,
And then the kids stopped being able to play with me because they thought that I was getting caught with my pants down and all kind of stuff. They didn't get it. I understood what she meant, but
Yeah, but we grew up around that, and it's just incorporated back, and that's why I love the show. I love what you're doing, because what we're doing now, and we're going to be saying the danger of a lot of our people, they get stuck in emotions and get stuck in these mental pigeonholes and refuse to come out, and they get comfortable in captivity when you cannot. For as everything is constantly evolving. It's evolving to a point, even though we're running in a cycle, right? But everything is evolving, and we're going to get in there today with E5, because we're finding out now, as each time we go through a paradigm shift in the movement in the earth, there's something else evolves. So you're not necessarily going back, but then we're doing what they call an overlap. You understand? Why we call
Mhm.
this dual universe and parallel universe? Because that's when you do a loop. Isn't it odd? We got a 2025 BC, you got a 2025 AD.
Mm.
What? I thought time was so everything we've done there been done before, but we're getting the overlap, and we can't. And when we come back to the earth, we pick up the overlap. This is why I tell a lot of the children, even though people don't, the Bible is a good reference. It has gold nuggets. It says they'll grow wiser and weaker. They'll come here in the world with already, because they're already advanced. A reborn soul. So it's a them. It's an overlap. It's not a past. It's an overlap.
Mhm. So let's
And
let's hear what.
that's what Ark is. And he talking to people. No, I mean he got strange expression. That's just bottling. But what he's saying is telling us about this don't exist now because it's now into another zone.
Mm.
And we're gonna get into some of that
Do you
today.
understand?
Oh, why did you
Sometimes
want
I'm mad, sometimes I'm not.
Okay.
Right.
And it can be
I pull
altered.
out of contact. Right. But she keep coming back. Right.
Let me see.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it looked like that. This is what I saw.
Yeah.
Like a fuzzy TV, but not like you watching from afar. Like I was
In it. Yeah.
like I was in it. Pay for that. Right? She just told them exactly what everything do and how to get it done. And they ain't paid. You know, it's for $800 for this in other places. They just gave it for free. What about me? I'm just keeping it real, right? I don't know. I don't know, but that's the deal. But I thought we was gonna talk about the secrets, right? Because like, you know, I'm the master down.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people going around here crazy.
Well, there's a lot of death going on.
I'm the master down.
There's a lot of people like getting killed by police.
I'm the angel of death. I'm the angel of death. Listen, the angel of death. Right.
So he's the
Angel
angel.
of death. But go on. A lot of people.
So he has that tattoo on his body. He's the angel of death. Now I know that, you know, oh yeah, me being my name, my actual name in IFA is a Adeku, which is the crown, the death's crown. So it's interesting that, you know, he was saying he's an angel of death. But you know, and oh yeah, but death doesn't necessarily mean death, and people just get the word death.
And remember, you
A
have to
bad
understand
name.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
We have to
Go ahead.
understand what the origin of the word death come from in the English language. That's why when you read far, it says that Oyeku, out of the darkness. Okay, don't necessarily mean dead, because out of death, everything grows, and even every seed that's planted, it starts what? Dead. Then it comes alive and it grows. Every seed. It don't come out with tree. Unless you transplant when it's grown, it starts out as a seed. So death is the seed that life comes out of.
And you know, oh yeah, you know, which is my head, Orisha.
Okay.
She is the owner of the cemetery, but she's
Right.
also the tornado. She's also the thing that exacts change on the earth, and she's the wind. And
Yeah,
so the
that's why
winds of
I
change.
like our intro, transition, because it's not death, it's called what? Transitional phases. And that was wrong there. We too long we tied up the tradition and customs of a particular group and named it Ifa when it's not. Ifa is that system that brings all things to its purpose. But it don't just stay there, it's constantly evolving. That's why you got different writing coming up with different interpretation of certain geometric patterns, because as the people change, the interpretation change to meet the situation. It's not cookie cutter, and we're seeing that. That's why in December the 21st, I think it was 2000, there was a portal number 72, portal 52 opened up. And it was an upload, not a download. It was an upload for this diaspora, for us to come together and find the organic people, not the human being. We talking to the supreme beings in this area to come together, because now they're constantly coming up with other copies, as you dropped over there about this thing called the body yard. Well, you know, you go back to the test tube, baby. You go back to the sperm bank. You go to the cloning. You go to the IVF, and now we got this thing called body yard. So and remember in Nepal, didn't Nepal say that when the white man came, he was trying to duplicate everything the little Demari was doing? He ain't stopped. That spirit is still here trying to create a human, a being that it could control and do. And everybody says that the Anunnakis the create the first ones, but we're constantly trying to evolve to that thing where the creator, which only she can do, but they're trying to duplicate it. So all these duplications, now these duplications come in the world and they don't all have the same attributes. That's why it's hard for folks to come together. We may have the same color of skin, but does not make us be kin. Check this out. I appreciate you.
review, they want to do is take out the neural functions. It's a human without feeling, without thinking, without ideas. It's just what MIT calls in this review a spare body, a spare tire, bodyoids.
MIT scientists want to grow human bodies dubbed bodyoids. Now, these bodyoids are physiologically identical to humans, yet scientists insist that they are not conscious and they can feel no pain. Scientists are stating that ethically sourced spare bodies could revolutionize medicine through things like organ donation. These bodyoids are not only intended to provide medical miracles, they can be used as meat for consumption.
All right, so here's the article. So MIT Technological Review, it's ethically sourced spare human bodies could revolutionize medicine. Human bodyoids. So remember that word. And here it says, recent advances in biotechnology now provides a pathway to produce living human bodies without the neural components that allow us to think, be aware, or feel pain. And then maybe one day we'll be able to create spare bodies.
Are bodyoids similar to body yachties?
If they could get these cordyceps to control this, I'm sure you can see some body yachties. Read.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God, sorry about that.
I understand shit. I did the same thing. I'm going like, what?
It was serious, and then he said that. I said, wait a minute. He sounded so serious when he said it. It kind of caught you off guard.
But Sister Monica, that's nothing new. Look at the story of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Look at the Frankenstein story. Look at the test tube baby.
Right.
I would like you, and we're gonna get to. I'd like you to pull up the first test tube baby, and let's read and what they say about it. That meant the same thing. The first test tube baby, and this all ties in IFA because IFA talks about this.
Louise Brown, my life as the first test tube baby in 1970.
What's her name? Louise Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Grown in a peach tree dish. This stuff is
Her name was Louise Brown. She was born in July 25th, 1978, as an English woman noted as the first human born following conception by in vitro fertilization. Her birth procedure pioneered in Britain has been among the most remarkable medical breakthroughs.
She was not born, she was created. That's a trick word. She was not born, she was created.
So in vitro fertilization, those babies that are born in that way are not human?
No, they are not. They are not. And that's what they're talking about. This ain't nothing new. This been going on. Clone and so if anything born after 1978 in view of fertilization, they on the planet, they got children, but they don't have the same sense of feeling and things that we have. So they are actually zombies in a sense. And he tells us about this. Now, how would you check her stuff? They gave her a name, a birthday, and a time of birth, right? So if you go back and do the numbers on her, what old dude did she come in under? And what Orisha is over that? We creating a man.
She was born the 25th of July, 1978. So that's Was that Obatala?
Obatala. You remember Obatala was given the job to create humans. Humans, not supreme beings. Humans. That's the difference between a human and a supreme being.
So what's the difference? So what would be considered a supreme being and what would be considered a human?
Not a person carrying through the natural birth process without any outside medical assistance or formulation.
Mm.
You know, and that's why we operate them. That's why for many, many years, the European man, the white man said the Negro had souls and the white man didn't.
Mm.
Based on our biorhythm and our frequency was different than theirs. So they had to dumb us down to their frequency because ours was too high. They couldn't come together. Their stuff just wouldn't make it. And Dr. Ivan Sutherland said the only way that the white man could live past 25, he had to mix his blood with the natives or with the organic people, which are the supreme beings.
So you had the organic supreme beings, and you had the humanoid,
yeah,
and then now you have the test tube babies, which are
right. You got the cloning, and then you got
and
IVF.
the clone, and IVF, yeah.
Yeah. And you can't apply the same law to them because they don't operate under the same universal laws as the organic or the supreme beings do. Everybody is not a supreme being.
Was there such a was there a such thing called actual Cabbage Patch Kids that was really
the Cabbage Patch,
they made dolls about it, but there was a real actual thing called
there was a real group called Cabbage Patch. and the odd thing about, I tell you about it, you got to get the book IFA in the Complete Works of Barumala, and all those breakdowns. I don't know if you got the book. It talks about how humans came to the earth. It didn't say how supreme beings came. And that's the only book. There's no other book out there, no other science out there that will give you the total breakdown that IFA gives you about how this thing got started and hits on all damn cylinders. All cylinders. That's why I tell everybody, quit trying to connect to Africa when the intelligence have moved from there to here. What they call our Cuban Africa, it's still stuck in a pigeonhole. It can't help them and it can't help us. We're in a whole nother level of evolution and growth that requires us to, now EPOC can answer, but you got to go with the new system. It's not a new system, it's an advanced system. And as the guy said, the world is ran off of the African fractals. We know that is the binary algorithm system of our ancestors they gave for the purpose of staying community and holding the balance. Without that, you're lost.
So I wanted to show that. Let me see. I'm trying to find about this Cabbage Patch Kids. Hold, let me
let's do that. No, this channel is education. It ain't about debate, it's about education.
Right. So let's go. I think this might be it.
Remember the Cabbage Patch babies, right? Cabbage Patch Kids, those cute dolls that everybody was going crazy for. Did you know they have a dark history? And I'm not talking about the one where people were breaking their legs and fighting out in public to buy theirs.
Parents are fighting over these dolls.
What we believe were just cute little dolls actually comes from a dark history where people truly believed that you could go and pick your baby out of a cabbage field. People had no idea how babies were made or where they came from. The farmers would plant seeds, and then the couple would go and pick their baby out of a crop. It's the same storyline as the stork, where the stork would go and bring a baby to an awaiting couple. The difference was the parents would go to the farm to pick the Cabbage Patch baby. And if parents were not worthy of receiving these babies, they'd get unalive babies in return as a form of punishment. Graphic warning on this video that I found online. I didn't want to post the full thing. This is from the 1800s, and it was supposedly a fairy going to the Cabbage Patch to pick the babies out. They look like new babies too. Like, that's a little fresh baby. And give it to the people who were awaiting their child. I don't know if they found this humorous. They also believed that babies couldn't feel pain back then. So the way she's handling the baby, it's weird, but they didn't believe that there was any pain happening. I'll probably never look at Cabbage Patch babies the same. You remember that?
So I mean, what do you think about the Cabbage Patch? Elio says Cabbage Patch is like the missing kids as well. There's thousands of missing kids that go missing.
All it is the is the body always coming back. She's saying damn near the same thing the guy said. They don't feel no pain. They're not gonna even back there 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And this man is saying the same thing about these body odds. They're another form of cabbage patch.
Mm.
You gotta listen. You gotta see people here to argue. You gotta listen to learn. And I love your challenge. You ain't got time to argue about what you hear. But my thing is where you doc, and you just showed them. They're saying the same language back then that we're saying now. They feel no pain. No shit. Yeah. By touching certain neurons, they don't feel pain or anything. So that makes them zombies. So here's your cabbage patch.
Right. They had to get that from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where would they get that from? Where would they get this story that they believe that kids
Well,
came
that's
from
not
a
a story.
cabbage?
It's actually an intelligence. It actually is an upload from another realm that's beyond this realm.
Mm.
Nothing just pops in. The air is full of information. It's called the information highway. And a lot of time we run into these things. We walk into a particular vortex or a frequency that stimulates our intellect, and we get these thoughts. What's the first thing is that when a child is conceived? What's the first thing is developed?
A
When a
heartbeat?
child is conceived, huh?
The heartbeat?
They call it that. But what's the first? Shall I say member, not gland? It's called conscience.
Mm.
Conscience. The brain is the first thing is formed.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about they coming. This is a conscious thing in process. Once that then thing started developing, following the pattern is laid within the conscious and the hypothalamus, the heart and the lungs. It has to follow some instructions, but it comes from the conscience. IFA teaches us this, and that we've got to show more appreciation for this science. We call it a religion. This is one of the most popular science because the world is running on it to this very day. And we got to learn to respect that. Once we learn to respect that and give it what it's due, the whole world will make a 360. We'll quit falling for the okie doke. We'll quit falling because we'll take our conscience to another whole level. When I see Unc, that's what I see. And he ain't the only one out there. There's more like that. We just haven't brought them out yet. Like the brother you was talking the other day, he was talking about you being, what he could tell you, did you need to do something about? He was on the line and we supposed to got together. I can't think of brother's name. I enjoyed him too.
Yeah. Mr. Harry Davis. Yep.
Mr. Harry Davis. Now, he was a former lawyer, but when we got to talking, you saw he calmed down.
Yeah.
Giving us stuff. Because you talking about what you did, but I'm talking about being there. I'm seeing it. I'm a part of it. I'm acting on all this stuff you talking about. You reading about it and talking about it, but I'm on the stage.
Right.
A lot of things. So a lot of things that was not exposed to the public was going in the back room. You'd be surprised at stuff that we talked about in the back room. Okay, we're back to Unc and Chief Jendaya. And I want to tell you, go ahead.
Yeah, because he said some really interesting things during this, and I wanted to kind of break down some of the things he said.
Let's go there,
Okay. It was a thing. I was like, oh, that's not real. It is fake. A sunlight song.
I heard that even in places like Haiti, they know how to make your soul like go from one body to another.
Listen.
And literally like you have a pre-death, like a near-death experience, but you are not the same person.
Listen.
It's like a soul swapping, like a spirit swapping.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you before I tell you about that. Right now, today, I'm gonna tell everybody how the previous was built. A lot of people say, okay, the previous built by me and Carrie stuff.
So he changed the subject, but are you aware of that whole thing? People spirit swapping and destiny swapping. Is that a thing that happens in IFA?
I can tell you this from a good friend of mine. His name Dr. Naeem Akbar. Dr. Naim Akbar, he is a professional, what you call it, clinical engineer. We was on the platform giving a lecture back in 1989. He said that he went to a Black Engineers Association. They went to Haiti on a tour to give a lecture. He said when he got to Haiti, he said, I got tired of it. So I asked one of the natives, carry me into the bush country so I can see the real psychologists. He said, when I walked into the village and they introduced me, now this is Dr. Naim Akbar. He's the author of Changing Engines of Psychological Slavery. He said when he walked into the village, my sister, he said he spoke to the young lady on the yard. He says, I'm with the group and I want to know about this. She told him, said, I want you to pick out a chicken in your mind. He said, I picked out a chicken. She levitated this damn chicken and killed this damn chicken in midair.
Levitated the chicken, and what the chicken just
the chicken out of the whole.
Or did she physically do it, or did it just burst into?
She levitated it.
Wow.
Whatever she did, caused the chicken to levitate. Got it above the flock, and she killed the damn chicken with her thought in midair with her thought.
Wow.
And Dr. Naim Akbar, he's a Muslim brother, imam, but he later left along and started school in Florida. He got a book called Changing Engines of Psychological Slavery. He's a personal friend of mine. And we sat on the stage going, well, he said, yeah. He said, I have never been the same. He said, I watched this woman do that. I picked this damn chicken out in my mind. I didn't tell her which one it was. And she levitated that chicken out of the whole flock and killed the damn chicken in midair. Now that's some juju for your booty.
And I've heard that there's things like that happen in Africa. Yeah. I heard that things like that happen also in Africa. You know, when Chief was talking, she was in there and they had the music going, and she had to hold a tree just to stay on the ground because she was lifting up so high, like almost like levitating off the ground.
That's Dr. Naim Akbar. The first picture you see, that's when he would look like when I first met in the first picture. So I ain't talking about what I'm talking what I know. Yeah.
Yep. So, but you know, the spirit swapping aspect, I was talking about how people can destiny swap.
Yeah. That way you gotta be careful when people touch you and what frequency you're on, because you can interchange. The same way you can walk by and catch a cold from somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's Howie Mandel used to not like to have people touch his hands when he did that. Let's make that deal or no deal. He used to only bump fists. He had to close. So and he said that
it is not good to shake hands because you transfer energies. And one of the worst things we do as people, when you go to the beauty shop or barber shop, don't sit down right behind the person, get out of the chair. Make that barber disinfect that chair and give it a couple of minutes for that energy to leave. When I go to my barber, they know damn well before Pop sat down, I'm not sitting in that chair. Get that hair and stuff off the floor, Pop, walk on it, spray that chair down with disinfect, wipe it down, and give me a few minutes because it takes that much time for that energy to leave that chair.
So you gotta be careful about how energy is transferred in different ways and stuff.
And when
like
folks
that.
getting in your hair, doing your hair, be careful where they mind at, because your hair are antennas, and you're transferring energy from that person into you and back and forth. It's like a connection. It's almost a psychological intercourse, and you gotta watch that shit. I carry some Florida water. When they get through, I do the wash down. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I heard also, like, a lot of times when them Africans be doing people's hair.
Yeah.
And those Nigerians, they be braiding your hair and speaking their language over your head, and you don't know what they're talking about.
I can go you one better than that. The guy's name was William Natchez Johnson. He is the great barber of Natchez, Mississippi. In his diary, he said what he would do when white people would come into his barber shop to get their hair cut, he would save their hair, mix it into the paint and the plaster, paint it in the wall. They wouldn't go to well, but back to him to get their work done. Like a lot of old folks, they would burn their hair. You didn't get to keep the hair or their nails.
Yeah, my mom used to burn my hair when I was a kid.
So they cannot get control of your mind or control of your spirit.
Mm.
And it's in his diary. He said he would take the plaster, he would take the hair, mix it into the plaster, into the paint, and paint it in the barber shop.
So what do you normally do to block those type of things from people getting control of this? And what kind of protection?
Ain't don't go in there being naive like this a bunch of fairy tale stuff. This stuff is real. So you got to protect yourself. Always carry you something to wash up with or to cleanse yourself with.
Mm.
What I mean by demagnetize, because you're an electromagnetic person, and definitely if you're a supreme being, you're highly charged. Most white people think that black folks, when they touch them, that we are good luck pieces. They love to touch and hug us. You don't hug me, you don't touch me.
Mm. They like to also touch the tops of babies' heads. I remember
and that's an insult in Vietnam. You can't touch the baby on top of the head. And I watched them, they love to do that, hug you and stuff. Because they're transferring the energy.
Mm-hmm.
You notice the Chinese don't embrace, they bow to each other. That's to avoid transferring of energy.
Wow.
All this is in the science of IFA. I'm asking you to believe it.
Do the research.
I'll tell you what's real.
A lot of people say they was built by, telekinesis. A lot of people say they was built by giant aliens. Right?
The pyramid.
I'm ready to tell you that they was kind of like built by, I don't know what I'll say. They were built by early humans, right? But the early humans were smarter than these humans because the world kind of go on reset. So the world goes so far up that it go boom, go back to the beginning. So
like a video game.
Yeah, like a video game. So what I'm trying to say is that they had these things, right? And you got to pay attention to this. Because I saw this in the fish. So for those that know, they know, right? They had a lot of times you see these pictures of people back then, and they look like animals, right? They have these animals, their heads like animals, but them weren't animals' head. Them were things they put on their plane. What happened was like a hat, right? So they'll take these things they put on their head. There'd be things inside that connect to each part of your brain. So like when you go on surgery or something, right? And then the point that came out, that point used to have the water that come up through it to get the steam to go into the water. And through the water, through the stream, it'll manifest in reality the pyramids will come up our mouth. It was manifested through the brain, through the steam, through the water, and then pop up. Through the ground.
Through the ground, through the water.
So listen, what do you think of that? He's saying that the pyramids were created, that those helmets that you see on the actual pyramids, that they actually were created. There was a combination. It's from the water that it will go through the helmet and then come out as a steam, like the thoughts, and then the steam will then create the manifestation from the ground. So it sounds like, I mean, it seems like all the elements it would take to create something, right? Earth, air, water.
Well, Herodotus, the Greek anthropologist, said that one thing he knew for sure, that the pyramid was built from the top down, not from the bottom up, based on vibration and frequency. And it could be the same thing. Justice for the LPA got a question. I'm looking at it. Did you post that up?
Yeah, I was going to do that. I was going to do that. That's why I had it up there. I just wanted to go there and say, what are the limits of IFA? Can I use an ebo to become more proficient pianist?
Only if it's in your purpose and your alignment. No, you got to ask if it's a part of your alignment or your purpose when you came to the world. Because pianists, how can a great pianist move the world forward on its evolution? Ask yourself that. You can do a reading on it. It will tell you yes or no. See, some things you got to go by. And see, that to me would be a question. Go like, oh, okay. No, only IFA could only answer that. Depending on what your purpose was when you left the great or the room, and is it a part of your destiny or your assignment?
So all these people that are trying to make something happen that's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen, right?
Well, it's a waste of time. You find out and waste all this time, and that's not my calling. That's why they always have a reading done, a tunnel on a child when they come to understand what is that child's destiny. Why you get the readings and stuff done to make sure you don't spend a lot of time. And the lie they tell us that a person is born without a manual. That's bullshit. You came in the world with a manual. You just don't follow it.
A lot of people just don't know how to get the manual because they are
how to read it. So yeah, you out there in limbo.
And they just got demonized the whole practice to get the, because if you're like a Christian, if you're a Christian, people are just like thinking that, what is your purpose? I mean, I've always heard that as a Christian, what is your purpose on earth? And they say to worship God. And it's
that's
like
not the purpose.
so that's the only purpose?
Yeah, we told that, but ain't what IFA says. If you go to the Dianosphere, the story of Olodumare and the world itself, everybody chooses your purpose. And you say, when I come to the world, my gifts that I'm going to use to make the world a better place. It ain't got nothing to do with being the best tap dancer, applying the best airplane. Your gifts will be used to elevate the earth to a better stand. And all that done, we put into decline. That's why it pays you what? Get a reading of someone to read and write it down and keep you a ledger. I got people, some of my clients I'm dealing with now. I said, I got one called Demar. And he been found from the day his mother he came to the earth. And we started out with a reading on him. And she's taught him every day of this child's life. And just like he father said, this kid ain't missed a beat.
Mm-hmm.
She said, how you? I said, it ain't me. It's what we understand about the science. And what the science say, if we put these things, these things in place, this is his destiny. This is what assignment he's on.
So the readings that we do in IFA are mainly to keep you on the right path to your destiny. In Christianity, they tell you that the path is narrow, but the few are.
He says, the way of how of holiness, there are few that find it. You may be strange every now and then. But what is holiness? What does the word holiness mean? That means perfection. How can I be perfect when I don't know my purpose?
Right. What are you trying to perfect? What are you trying to perfect?
Yeah, but you don't know until you go back and check the Cosmic records. The day you were preparing to come to the earth, what you told of the Grand Council and Olodumare or Olafine, how you want to call it. Because the gifts already within you. Everything you need is already within you. And whatever you lack, you go to the room and you pick up the necessary tools so you'll be able to complete your purpose and your assignment. Most folks don't know their damn assignment, Sister Molly. They're out here wildcatting. But thanks to IFA, I am so thankful that I was awakened in time to realize who I am and what I am and what my purpose is.
And you know what, people underestimate that reading that you get, that life reading.
Please don't. Well, make sure you got a person that has good character, because you got them con artists out there.
But I'm saying is that when you get your life reading during your initiation.
Yeah, but what I do,
your Ita during your initiation.
But what I did was I was fortunate to know how to read myself. So I would check behind when they got through. I got my stuff out and shook it, asked the question, is this on point?
Right.
See, it's in its simple post shell, yes and no.
And
I can embrace it. You don't just run to a doc, you run the person. Find out that person got character. You know how many people go to doctors who was making F's in medical school and low D's, and you got them working on you?
Right. That was barely past medical
Carry
school.
Paris, baby. And you got the word.
Justice for LPA. Is there such thing as witchcraft?
No. That's a compound word. Wit and craft means to be smart and to be capable of. Let's break the word down. Witchcraft, right? It's a compound word. What does the word witch mean? Witty means from the word witty. And a craft is something you perfect. Let's do that for them. The word witchcraft it's a compound word. The European demonized with that, but it's a compound word. To be witty means be smart with your craft. It's a craft. It's something you do. That's
All right.
Wicca.
So a witch, the most common understanding is a person. This is the AI overview. Let's get the actual definition.
Yeah, the etymology. Yeah.
A person, special woman who possesses or is supposed to practice magic or sorcery, a sorceress. A woman who is supposed
Why
to
gotta be a woman?
It always says a woman, yeah. Well, no, a person, especially a woman, because I think the male witch is called a warlock.
Wizard. They're called wizards. But
Or
remember,
warlock, yeah, warlock.
But look at the word itself. It's a compound word.
A
And
person who practices magic as a spiritual observance, especially as associated with neo-paganism. What neo-paganism?
Wait a minute. Here we go. Wait a minute, baby. What does the word paganism mean? He that live close to nature. Type in etymology of paganism. We letting all these Eurocentric definitions come in and hijack our supreme conscience. Paganism is those that live close to nature. That's the original definition back on the website, back with the 18 something edition. Ain't got to know what AI is saying. I'm sorry.
A pagan, in general terms, refers to a person who does not adhere to a mainstream world religion, often associated with polytheistic or nature worshiping beliefs. It can also be used as a derogatory term for someone who is considered uncivilized or irreligious.
Come on, people. I ask you this, and I've been in the church. In the Holiness Church, we used to anoint the olive oil and anoint people's head with it to get rid of spirits and get them cleansed and get them on track. They say we was practicing voodoo and down there. But all of a sudden, even the Baptist folks started getting olive oil and blessing the oil and touching people's forehead with it.
Right, and they do that today in church. They put that on your head.
But for one time, it was considered what? Voodoo, witchcraft. Don't put that stuff on me. And I've seen the stuff work. Anoint them with oil and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord and all this stuff.
Hey, Justin, the Justice for LPA, did you want to come up and ask these questions?
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Because
come up and hit the StreamYard link too, because you seem to have a lot of questions. And you could just ask, he said, what's your explanation for people who seem to be living great without knowledge of IFA? For example, soccer players and singers.
Nobody live great without IFA. If they deal with computers and technology and things, IFA is there.
People that you don't even IFA is basically
everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the word. It is nature. It's nature. It's everything.
It's the wisdom that governs this dimension, and you can't get around
it. But you just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It's there. It's like the air you breathe. You don't see it, but you definitely feel it. Right. That's IFA. And remember, if they're living a great life, if they're living in the state of Agbe, they're in balance with nature and the universe, your celestial being and your terrestrial being is in balance. That's why they have abundance. And it's also a part of one of the Odus. It's also in one of the Patrick keys. That's why they've been successful. But once you break it, all that goes away.
So And also, you know, a person that's a soccer player, that's he's probably following in his destiny to be a soccer player. He was able to. Everybody, you know, some people just are naturally drawn to their destiny. They set themselves up to for that. Some people make it so it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
I think you can select the link and put it into a Chrome browser and then do it that way. If
But
you
anyway,
if you
yeah,
can,
yeah. So you know, nothing you
Hold on.
smell, taste, or feel that E5 is not in.
right.
I tell folks that. This is why I don't get hooked up into culture, uh, 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 traditional cultures and customs, because E5 transcends all that. You may have certain do's and don'ts in one culture, but those things, those they don't apply to all other cultures. But E5 is the communication between your celestial being and your terrestrial being, for the balance between your Ori and your heart chakras. Yeah.
I just
That's why
pinned
it's
the link.
important.
I just pinned the link to the top. You should be able to click it from there. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
If you guys see the link, if you click the pin at the top, you should be able to click. If you guys want to come up, if anybody wants to come up, if they have any questions. He was asking about soccer players and singers, like a person like Beyonce. You'd be surprised how many people actually practice IFA in the entertainment business.
Right. So let's go back. The word soccer player. What does the word soccer? They call it football. What is the mathematical equation that determines the physics of this? Because you got to kick the ball a certain way to get certain things done. What is it? What is the geometry tied into soccer? It's a round ball you're kicking around, but you got to kick it a certain way to get certain results. That's still E5.
But when it comes down to witches and stuff like that, witchcraft,
that is Eurocentric demonization of a science they don't understand.
Hello,
what's up,
sir?
people?
Hey, how's
What's
it going,
up?
Justin?
What's up, IFA peeps? Hope you can hear me very well.
IFA peeps.
IFA peeps. Listen, man, my heart and mind are open for this IFA thing. But I just I like to understand things and test and question and verify, and you know.
That's understood.
So this is why I ask the questions that I ask.
So what? So do you have any more questions? Go ahead and ask them.
I don't actually know. I just thought I'd come up and join anyway. But if I have a question, I'll ask it. But for now, I'll go on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you want to look at some more of what this thing with
yeah
Unc said, because he covered a lot of interesting stuff, and I wanted you to break it down from a IFA perspective. Let's go.
Okay.
He would.
Yeah, that's why all the pyramids check all the pyramids. They got water running all through them. They all lead to a lake or a river. Maybe that's one.
Now he gets all these things which you call downloads. I say that they're probably upgrades, right?
We call them uploads, not a download, it's an upload.
Right. So people have downloads, and then they get these stuff. He had this download about the pyramids and stuff like that. So that was an interesting thing that he said there. But then
through the mind, though. But these were techniques that the Anunnakis taught to the first early humans, right? Yeah, keeps into this. They're doing it.
But I would think some sound would have to be involved, because if you actually understand cymatics, you understand that sound and actually water.
Understand this, right? The sounds were what she was doing, right? You always heard they had bells. I don't think you pay attention to everything I say, right? See, back then they had bells that went off, right? They went off all the time. See, these bells woke people off the matrix, right? So I'm telling you, certain sounds, right? Again, with certain thoughts, right? A bit anything. But they knew how to make it pop off the ground. So I always take a plant a seed and to grow up. I don't really normally take it, because no such thing as time. It take about
a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it can happen like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how I know, right? Get somebody. A lot of people out there are crazy. Get somebody that's been knocked out, been in the hospital, knocked out for months at a time, and they wake up, they're gonna say, "Man, it's like I've been asleep yesterday." That's how fast it happens, right? So I'm just telling you that a lot of people don't know, right? They was built through the mind. Right, but back then they had certain things to help them. Right?
Sound.
Yeah. That's what,
And did you hear about the Jesuit priest that actually broke all the bells? Were you aware that all the bells at some point, like there was different bells that were throughout?
They got to be visited. They got to be broken because the sound simply will wake you up. Right? Listen, I know this. A person who listens to these bells is just start remembering stuff next door if they're hearing wrong.
Go into the bells because even the Orisha, when you get initiated, you get a certain bell. You have bells in Hindu religion. You have the certain gong sounding bell things in Chinese religion. What is it about spirituality in the bell? I'm sorry. You trying to unmute yourself? You gotta hit the mute button. Hit the mute button.
I got
there
it.
you go.
Do you know the
Why is it that though these like because even Chief when she became a shaman, she used a combination of the bell and the shaking thing, and then that's actually the bell is one of the things that you really hear. The sound resonates a certain way, and that thing is kind of like the combination of those sounds are kind of healing you. What is it about the bells?
It's the frequency. It's the frequency of the bell of a tone that your body rhythm. So once you find out your keynote or your rhythm or your biorhythm, the best thing for that is called tuning forks. They come in different frequencies. They find out your frequency, take a tuning fork and touch your body where you're hurting. Tap it gives a vibration. That's why doctors a lot of times use this little hammer to hit you on your knees and all this kind of stuff to find out your reflex. Okay, so there's a book that you might want to get. That's called The Occult of Geometry and Hermetic Science. Yeah. Okay. Now
I got initiated, right?
Right.
These are the things I got. So this is Oshun's bell.
Okay. You ring them up, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That's Oshun.
Okay. What's the other one you got?
Obatala.
Obatala. You know the difference in the sound?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. What's the next one?
And then you have Oya.
Yeah. Okay. So with all that being said and done, why would you use Oshun for what purpose? To summons her energy, to summons her spirit?
Yes.
To invoke it, right?
Yeah.
Or the other one the same. It is all for summons. That's why they use bells in a lot of towers in Catholicism to summon the people. Well, you can also use that to summon the spirit. I like the tuning forks. I like the tuning forks, Sister Monica.
Yeah, huh?
I prefer the tuning forks.
Right.
Because when you are sick or something like that, you take the tuning forks and touch the body. You might type it in the tuning forks for healing. Tuning forks for healing, and see what you bring up with. I just sent some people home that other day, and they said, man, because with your body having vibrations, it's almost like them doing acupuncture without the pain of the needle by using tuning forks. So the power of the tuning fork for healing, type that in. It's all in IFA, but just type it in. I'm going to gravitate back to that because I'm finding out that's one of the most natural ways of healing, because your body has a frequency that has to be brought in balance and tuned up like everything else.
And it looks like they have different megahertz and different
Yeah.
Yeah. Share screen. If you guys said, just in case if you don't know what a tuning fork looks like, it looks like this.
There they are. It comes in sets like that. For energy, there, So let's give them a little read there, sister.
Let me try to find the subject about it. Hold on, they're just showing them right at this point.
Yeah.
So, tuning forks, what are they? How do we use them? And what's the difference between them? Let's have a quick chat, shall we? Hey, it's Malcolm from Groove Warehouse. I'm going to take you through a couple of the different forks that we have here and show you the differences between them. So a tuning fork is an idiophonic instrument. It's essentially something that we either strike with something else or we strike against something else, and it vibrates to produce the pitch or the frequency or the vibration that we're looking for. Typically, tuning forks come in the shape of a two-pronged fork. When we talk about the different parts of the fork, we often talk about the tines, the prongs, or the wings. These are the two longer parts of the fork typically that actually vibrate themselves. The other main parts of every fork are typically the stem, which is the part that will hold and that the vibrations will typically permeate through. We can also have a foot piece or a base if there is one for our fork to rest inside. And we also have elements of each fork like the shoulder where the tines meet the base. Of course, the yoke, which is the nodal point at the base of each fork as well. As you can see, forks tend to range both in size, material, their sound or their frequency response, and these elements also play into what they work best for as well. You'll be able to hear with these smaller ones that we get from Minor Sonic Energy a much higher focused pitch. Sometimes forks that we have will be tuned to very specifically low frequencies.
And you can feel that in different parts of your body. That's
Tuning
great.
forks are used in a wide variety of different contexts. They really originate as a referential point for an instrument to be tuned to.
And you know, the thing is that even in E5, they talk about how music creates a semi-solid mass.
Yeah.
You know, and so a semi-solid mass, and that when they actually with that how big music and drumming and all that stuff is a part of E5.
Yeah.
That how the actual music can actually heal the person and things like that. And then when you get into this and you see that these vibration, they're using these tuning forks for actually healing. And some like I know that when Chief does the stuff that she's doing, it like the way she's ringing the bell by your head, I think it's like making some serotonin release, a little bit of dopamine, you know, because when she went to Peru to learn that modality, you know, this was like they would call these people the witch doctors, right? They would call them witch doctors, right?
Yeah.
So instead of going to the doctor, you go to the witch doctor. And so that person was able to heal you, you know what I'm saying, in certain ways. But I guess they had to make it like seem like tribal or savage, but they were using a lot of these modalities to actually heal people.
And I got another friend of mine, which you probably she uses them also in her practice now, the tuning forks and things for her clients, you know. And I want to tell our listeners out there, there is a book called The Occult of Geometry and Hermetic Science. Every family needs one.
My daughter done made some contraption, child.
What you
made something. She done together. She done, I don't know what she put together. She done took some cornbread. I'm sorry, my daughter. She's up there. She I don't know. She didn't cook this. Where you cook this in the microwave or? She put this in the oven. She got some flour and some chocolate and made some kind of and told us, can I have? I don't know what this is.
You gotta taste it because you won't be happy if you don't taste it. Anyway, she can back up culinary art.
Oh my God. That's good. Oh, that's delicious. Oh my God. They so okay. Oh man. Yeah. Oh wow. That is something right there.
Yeah, okay. Back what we're talking about, so we don't get to poor. So
I'm sorry, y'all. We got kids. And they do weird.
And they demand attention. But all I'm saying
I was having one of those Bill Cosby moments, you know, when Rudy cooked that food.
Yeah.
He just kept chewing it.
Yeah, right. But back to and I'm happy we got the justice on the line and listening. There's so much that we don't know. We're barely scratching the surface of the science of IFA. No one knows because IFA is steady evolving. So no one has total monopoly on all the knowledge. We get uploads from time to time, even in your sleep. I've got some things that I'm working on now. It's called the IFA. IFA is a module for beginners that I'm working on. That I'm
Okay.
discovering now, huh?
Okay. You,
That I'm
you said
working on.
a book that you're making?
Yeah, I'm putting together now, and since I've been having the thoughts for about 3 years. Now, after having my experience of the day, I think I better go and put in black and white. So I'm in the process of now, because we have been following a process for E5 for the last 300 or 400 years or better. Look.
She's trying to give me some more of her cake that she made, her pie.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're like a chef.
Yeah. Look at it. She's happy. So what's taking place is, and if you ask most practitioners that follow the old tradition, they're still following the old process of divination, return for your male and female clients, and using the cookie cutter process, when that is not the case. We've got to evolve away from that, because people are not all the same. If you came to me, Sister Monica, to get a reading, I would use the old dudes, but I would use the feminine side. I would read you left to right. If a masculine come, I would read him right to left. In that case, the seniority of pattern changes. The first Odu in that would be Oyeku, and the last would be Agbe. Otherwise, you got Agbe Oyeku, and you come out with Ofun on the male side. So then your reading would be a little different, because it gives you a different prescription to deal with your situation. We can't make it a cookie cutter. Everybody got the same thing for the same purpose. That is not how this works. And we've got to learn it, because, and then don't give a what you call it already a template of what you want. You need to ask that person. So a lot of times they want to about your destiny, your love life, and all that. No, what we do now, you ask the question, we ask you for specific questions. We don't have one already pre-packaged up to ask you. You know,
a lot of times you do a reading with a practitioner, and you if you ask a question, they're not going to even have the they might not even answer your question. Sometimes if I had something else for you to learn that he wanted to tell you.
But if you come to me with a situation, then I need to address that. And if there's any additional, then bring it on. But don't come in and because there is a protocol, a chain of questions they got in these books, what to ask and get answers to. But suppose you don't have that. Suppose you come in a different situation. I'm about to lose my big toe.
Right.
You know, what do I need to do? And then also you got to understand and this, you got to know herbs, you got to know certain things, and then you need a source to go to check out all these various herbs to create a remedy for that situation. And it's not always in that particular Odu. This is why I tell people get the book on herbalism, you know, because there are many different herbs that you, and then you got to contact Osane and then bring it through that energy of Osane, which was over the plants and stuff. Because a lot of us, we got that plant, whatever's in the universe is in our body. So if it's a plant that we need to get to use and everything, like the other day, have you heard a thing called soursop?
Yeah, soursop. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Damn, soursop. Now, it's bitter. But also remember that it was among the bitter herbs that the so-called Hebrews took when they were leaving out of Egypt, allegedly. Oh. Yeah. And one thing I like about some brothers there in Jamaica, they have access to a lot of these herbs and things.
So somebody's asking, what is IFA?
IFA is a binary system and algorithm that for communication between your celestial world and the terrestrial world. It's not tarot cards. It's not witchcraft and none of that. It's the same thing as your telephone. You get on the phone and call somebody. It's a communication device between the terrestrial and celestial world. It's not a religion. It's a science. It's an algorithm and a binary system. You still have that clip on that guy that did a thing. What's his name? Ted, whatever his name. Play that clip of what it is and how they used it in computers. Because even in E5, your cell phone is built on E5. Your computer is built on E5. Anything to do with technology today is built on the science of E5. It ain't Pythagoras. None of that. It's built on that. And I think you got that clip in somewhere, sister Monica. And that person needs to hear that.
Did you send it to my Facebook?
I think I might have put it in your Facebook. I might have put it in your messenger. But I'm see if I can find it. If I can find it. If not, you got the one from what's the name? African Fractal. That's what YouTube African Fractal. Pull it up and it's just give him about 2 minutes of it. It's African Fractals, and I think the guy, whatever guy name is.
Was published, Africans would be using it for centuries before then.
Yeah, here we go.
Did African fractals have an impact on the world?
Yes, through a mathematically related fortune-telling system. You're doing these random lines, you're counting them off, drawing all these lines in sand. If there's an even number, you put down 2 strokes. There's an odd number, you put down 1 stroke. And when I went to these folks and asked them if they could tell me more about it, they said, no, this is a secret. I can't tell. So I had to go through the initiation ritual to become a Bamana divination priest. So what I found was that back in the 12th century, this system went up into Europe, and it was taken up by the alchemists. Now Leibniz, the German mathematician, when he invented the binary code, he was actually studying this system. And then it goes from Leibniz to George Boole creating Boolean algebra. Boolean algebra gets turned into hardware by John von Neumann. That's the birth of the digital computer. So all those little ones and zeros running around in all of our digital circuits really start with that African origin.
Did that answer this question?
Yeah. So I mean, that's what IFA is. IFA is.
That's it. It runs the world.
Basically
runs the world, and without it, a lot of things you got they wouldn't have.
So he's saying basically, what's the main faith or belief?
Excuse me.
If you hit the link, Megan Israel, you can come up and ask your questions because it seems like you're gonna give us.
Please, by all means, come up and ask. Yes.
So he's asking, what's the main faith or belief?
There is no main faith or belief. It's called obedience and balance. This is not about religion. This is about a spiritual science that elevates us to our supreme beings.
You don't even in Buddhism. It's Buddhism is not a religion.
No,
it's a spiritual way of people that get just to reach their fullest potential.
To become one with the.
I can go into a Buddhist. A Christian go to a Buddhist temple and meditate. A Muslim can go to a Buddhist temple and meditate. You know, a Hindu could go to a Buddhist temple and meditate. It's similar, same thing. So this is when you need divination. You want to know what's going on in the future. And are you on the right track?
And and once again, everyone you name has a divination system built off of this ancient system. Have you noticed? Have you ever noticed on the Chinese flag, you got Odus on the Chinese flag?
Being on our end is Olodumare.
Did you hear what I said, Monica?
What you say?
Pull up the Chinese flag, and you're gonna find out what they call the Qing. The Qing ain't nothing but Ifa Odus. These Odus are the algorithm. Pull up the Chinese flag. The Qing ain't nothing but Ifa Odus. And they fly it every day, everywhere.
Actually, meant the Korean flag.
I think it's the Korean or Chinese I Ching, they call this. It's each called the 18, but it's on
It's a
their
Korean
flag.
flag.
But what?
It's a Korean.
Okay, pull it up. There, those markings and stuff. That's IFA.
And if you, this is the actual chart for IFA.
That's it.
These are the Odus. When you divine for someone in IFA, you use a chain like a puele, and those numbers come out and gives you you get a 1 or a 0, and that 1 or the 0 matches to an apatiki, which is a story. Okay, and there's a number, so a number comes out, and that aligns with a story, and that story is what your situation is.
Now
you understand?
Let's go a little deeper. If he's a Hebrew Israelite, go to the Urim Thummim and show them that it's also a part of this system. The Urim Thummim, it's a part of it. There's another word in among the Hebrew called preem. It means casting lots. But let's go to the one that God gave the Israelites in Exodus and what to do. Go to Urim Thummim, or go to Wikipedia, and it'll tell you the whole breakdown. See, because they don't, you go on a thing, a quest of a Russian roulette way of praying and hoping. With the system, they had a way of getting a direct answer immediately. Not next week, immediately. And I think it's in First Samuel when David got in trouble with the Philistines. I'll read it all the time. We have to realize that many of the so-called religious. Okay, let's see.
The Urim and Thummim of the Bible are a bit of a mystery. They were held by the 9-inch square fabric breastpiece of the high priest's garb that was decorated by 12 stones, each carved with a name of an Israelite tribe. Despite extensive descriptions of the high priest's outfit, as well as the 12 stones, the Bible is surprisingly silent on the Urim and Thummim. What they were made of, how many of them there were, and their exact function are areas of debate. The only crystal clear thing about them was their purpose. They were to be used for making decisions for the Israelite nation.
What were you saying?
I said that's not true. She gave me a half-assed story because, but last thing she said was true for making decisions. It's for making decisions and making choices, right? Now it's not that a mystery because they still use it. The Ashkenazis, Jews still use it today in this time for getting answers.
No, it's not numerology. It's not numerology.
Not numerology. No, sir.
The source of what is the source? He says, "What is the source of this wisdom?" Why don't you come up? I have the link at the top. I don't like when people have a whole bunch of questions. I prefer they just come up. The link is at the top. Is pinned to the top. Click the button and just come up. Because I don't want to. Every time he says something, like there's a new question. Just asking question after question. Just come up and ask your question.
Yeah, he says, brother, what is the source of the wisdom? Ifa is the wisdom. It's the source is only the Mare. That's what it is. The source is a divine wisdom.
Besides white man wisdom or Esau wisdom in general.
Ifa is 2.5 billion years old before white man. Only thing white man have, and remember, don't let the pigmentation. The word white is an energy that Ifa talks about, and that is an Odu. It comes in the world under it. It says all about this spirit or energy called the white man. It's not about pigmentation. You must get the book Ifa Ism, Complete Work of Orishas. And I wish Abandoned Child was here. Or do you have a copy with Monica? The book Ifaism. Where is Andrew? Because on page 201 it tells you about this energy and what and what some of its objectives are. See, and I myself for many years was a Hebrew Israelite, studied with him. Before I became recognized as Baba Yashabiyah name, I was called Kahan. K-A-H-A-N, Kahan Yash, Kahan Amalakil Yashbayat, Ben Yasharel, Yashar. And we went into the system and we taught this, and I also had a set of the Thermal that I had in my collection. It's still in the box back here, and it's recognized light and dark. That's another book that's the other book. What it costs. It might be available, it might not be available, but we have the whole set. We have the information.
So I think a lot of times you get the Hebrew Israelites because they're okay. What is the importance to do?
Because they're pretty prominent out there now. They're fighting to become among the mainstream religions. But there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstanding that's being taught in the philosophy. No attack, just facts. Because a lot of them, they're good readers and orators, but they don't do etymology, or study the metaphors, myths, and allegorical sides of the Bible. They take the Bible literally rather than what it really is. And I fell into the same thing, and I don't get it, but I asked them one thing: if they're the Abrahamic foundation religion, then who is Abraham's father? Then trace it all the way back to Noah. Then I would invite them, as I always do, go to the Jewish Encyclopedia, or either go to the Encyclopedia Britannica under Jewish myth and legends. Under Jewish myth and legends, the priest said that the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis is Jewish mythology, which means it's an allegory. Paul says in Galatians, I think it's 4:20 or 4:20 and 21, that the story of Abraham and the children and Hagar and the children, it's an allegory. So if you're building your religion on an allegory, you need to go back and check it. And that's documented. I didn't make that stuff up. Look it up.
Right. And the difference between IFA is that IFA is a divination system.
A divination system. It has nothing to do with what that is.
With religion. It's not. People have built a religion around it, but
right.
IFA itself is just a divination system. And the divination system, there are stories that come with the divination system that when you do the divining, explains different aspects of a person's life based on situations that could occur and happen. And this is a very old system. Over how many people practice IFA today? About 100 million.
Yeah, well, you go 200 million, but when I went back based on the nuclear reactor they found in South Africa, 2.5 billion years. And that's hard to die. I stick around 300,000 or thereabouts. That makes more sense to them because that 5 scares them.
Right. So basically all Africa have a divination system.
And it's all tied into
like all African nations have some level of divination system. And actually even American, hell, we don't even start our football games without flipping a coin.
Yeah, that's from that when they flip the coin in the air to decide who's gonna receive the ball. That's a form of divination. Because you count on fate to determine heads or tails.
Right. So
yeah.
But I guess he's saying his Wi-Fi is crazy. So
okay. And I understand that, but even when you go to the casino to roll the dice, you're dealing with IFA. That's a form of divination. You shake them and you blow, come on, baby, mama need a new pair of shoes, and you throw it out there, and you count on faith to give you the number that you need to get what you're looking for. That's a form of divination.
So what is the I think that he was talking about the sacrifice. He was asking about that earlier, but what was John said something. Are humans virtual machines? And do you find the letter of the year to be accurate?
Say it again.
Are humans virtual machines, and do you find the letter of the year to be accurate?
The letter of the year? And none of the stuff on the Gregorian calendar accurate. It's all off. And the human are we are machines. We are machines, and machines are built off of our structures.
Yeah,
Of course,
everything, even cars are built off of our structure. If you think about a car, it mimics the digestive system.
Yeah, so you everything is related in one form or another. Inorganic, organic. You say micro, the microcosm. My sister, if you love to use that word, it's all tied.
The microcosm is the macrocosm. So
yeah, and so the thing is now, but then they're going in now to divide it up with all these other beings they bring on the planet, and like we're talking today, they bring all these different entities on the earth that supposed to be related, but they're not related.
Mm. Yeah, because there's a.
I'm sorry. And see, that's the thing back in the day. You remember, used to be a commercial called Star Kiss. If it ain't Star Kiss, you don't know what you're getting. It was a little old dragon with his orange in his hand. He was telling you then they were bringing in a genetic form of fruit. If you don't know what you're getting, it ain't real. They told us that back 30 years ago in a cartoon. If it ain't Star Kissed, you don't know what you're getting.
Oh, no problem. If you can make it up here, that'd be great, because I know you have some questions. Like, we're here to answer questions, you know. But basically, I was going to talk about the fact back to the initial subject about like the different types of people. So, you know, they have this thing called an NPC, non-playable character, right? So they have these, you know, they'll say that sometimes, like, some people think that reality unfolds before you, like, you know what I'm saying, like that there's actual people that are not even real human beings. They're just there like as a part of the background scenery to like kind of fit the scene that you're actually walking into, you know. But if you actually were to interact with them, they are not even really a human. They're not really even there. They're not really even conscious.
They've been talking about the holograms and all these things for a long time. Way back.
Well, not even conscious, but like non-playable character. If you ever played a video game, you got these one characters that all their job is to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think I forget what this movie was. It was one movie where this guy figured out that he was not real or something like that, and so he began to tell the other characters that they weren't real, and then they couldn't understand what was going on, because I forget what this movie was.
I know Recall did some of that with this movie. Then what was the other movie that was out? There's been several movies out. They Live was another one they had out many years ago.
It was a guy who plays Deadpool. He was in this movie.
Okay.
And when the people figured out that they were not real, they started to like kind of like malfunction. Like every day he got up, did the same thing every single day. He would do the same thing every single day. And then he did something different. He just realized that, you know, and that's what. So what's happening is that you have.
Was it called Multiplicity? Was that the name of the movie?
Was it Multiplicity?
Yeah, the guy kept doing the same thing every day, over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is Multiplicity.
In Multiplicity, yeah, he kept getting up and yep, over and over and over every day, the same damn thing.
No, I don't think it was Multiplicity, but it was kind of like that. It's kind of like he kept doing it. Then and the people, oh man, hold on, the movie.
Yeah, don't frustrate yourself, cause until they get on. Okay, this is very good. We're still talking about the principles of IFA.
Yeah. Well, what I was trying to say is that, well, because we talked about the people that don't that don't have a soul.
Yeah, right. You're trying to make them have one, and they don't.
And yeah, and so you run into these people that don't have a soul, and then you're trying to
convince them or convert them. They ain't nowhere.
Or talk to them or deal with them, and you don't even realize that these people are not even. They're not even real people. You know what I'm saying? Oh, free guy.
Yeah, I got myself ready for our boys when they show up with this debate. I got some things I want to show them. But anyway,
it's this movie Free Guy. Free Guy.
okay, okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can play it like small snippet of it before, and hopefully it doesn't give me a problem. But
Got Megan Israel. I wonder if
huh?
I see his name Megan. Is that what is that? Magen Israel?
Yeah, is he coming up?
No, I don't see him, but he asked a question. My question, my thing, how much do you know about the science of IFA? Because if you know IFA, it says IFA is the wisdom. But what's the source? The source is IFA. Older than Mari, but I don't know if he's asking for debate or he's listening to learn. That's one of the questions that go out to answer, to see where you're at. But the thing about it, I was an Israelite for 12 years, and I was in the priesthood, and I was what they call a Kohanin or Kohen, and I was also ordained as a Rabboni or rabbi. So you ain't gonna get around me with the stuff they running down, because I know both the what they call the Baba Yashabiyah, the Messianic, and the Orthodox. I studied both of them, and I taught from both of them. So you're not going to miss me trying to bring me anything that did with Ben Amin, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, or Malachi Yar, any of these brothers, 5%, you name it. I've been down that road.
Right.
I debated most of them, and when I got through, they either want me to join up with them, or they stayed the hell away from me.
Right.
Just that simple.
Well, we're about to hit. We're hitting the hour and a half, so we're about to wrap this up. I thought that Megan was going to give it.
Okay. Anyway, I hope we will achieve some of our goals, sister, and I'm loving it. And we'll get some more Unc on here, because he is a very unique character. And there's some other ones out there that I'm finding out that's just like him. So he ain't out here by himself.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna play a little bit more. We're gonna break him down a little bit more before we leave. But the main thing is that we're trying to bring, like I said, there's so many different belief structures out here. You have the Gnosticism, you have the Christians, you have the Jews, you have the Hebrews, you have and at the end of the day, what is your purpose in life? You could tell me everything that happened back in 29 BCE, but you don't even know what the heck you're on this earth for. You know what I'm saying? And you need to get into the divination system to understand what you're here for.
I'm trying to say, what is he saying? Look up at my last message. What was your last message, Brother Israel? Put it back up. We're entertaining your thoughts.
You still are, brother. APTNH. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it is, because and the acronym. So if you don't mind, just let us know what it is. You still are, whatever it is, whatever. Anyway.
APTNH.
Yeah.
APTTNH. No, we don't know what APTTNH means. I'm sorry, but thank you.
Thank you anyway. But yeah, let's get a little Unc in here. We'll do what you're gonna do, so we can wrap it up. And what we sometime next week?
Yep.
All right. The sound itself is a higher frequency, because your thoughts are not your own. The thought don't belong to you; it belongs to the fucking bells.
If you actually know,
yeah, the thought belongs to the bell. That's the frequency of the thought. I guess the high vibration. I don't know if I'm telling the truth, but I'm just saying that's what's telling me to say it. Because it gotta be. Because I never heard a voice. Because I don't think we have words. I think that everybody sound like this.
Yeah.
And I think that we perceive those.
Trust me,
as words.
I've woken up in the middle of the night and heard that. Like if you try to like listen to a meditation thing and you like wake up halfway,
I tell you this,
it'll sound like a bunch of
I went to the church the other day, Pastor Eli Church, and he was preaching. And he was preaching in a certain voice, and the voice was like deep voice, right? Like crazy voice. And I said, damn, that voice sound crazy, sound familiar.
Mhm.
That voice sound familiar, and it was familiar. I heard it many times before. But it wasn't his voice. Because prior to that, he never sounded like that. Just watch him here. They go to his church, he's gonna sound something good. I don't know Pappy, I know I'm doing this good stuff with.
Right.
But you can see when they get possessed.
Mm.
But they say they're not possessed.
They're not possessed, but
But
they're
everyone's possessed. Because our thoughts are not our own. So everybody on earth, everybody watching this is possessed. It depends on who you possess by. What it's because everybody's possessed.
like a video game character.
Everybody's possessed. Listen, you can't think unless you're possessed. Your thoughts don't come from you. So you gotta be possessed to do anything.
That's what she was saying on the way here. She said, we all thinking that we thinking these thoughts. There's no original thought on this earth. Ain't that what you said? That there's no original thought on this earth. No one thinks an original thought.
There's no original thought.
What were you saying, Baba?
He's correct. Definitely correct. Because like I said every time, as you walk around, there's a lot of thoughts floating out there. And every now and then you may walk under and pick up a thought. Sometimes it's a crazy thought. It's a good thought. But remember, you are an adapter. It comes through you. It ain't got to stay with you. You understand? As we walk along these different frequencies. And then there is a message or a thought or not a thought, but instructions and whatever. If you tap into it, that's what you vibe to until you get out of that area.
Mm.
And we're gonna realize that you got to be careful when you go places as what's being vibed in that area when you're walking on these power lines, because you're walking above, under fire, and on top of fire. Because we got power lines under us and power lines over us, and we're like a magnet caught between these two power lines, and information's been traveling up down these lines on these what you call the fiber optics, and on these lines, you picking up this shit up as you walking along out there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, going like, what?
Our body is like an antenna. Like it's like almost like an antenna.
Where that thought come from? Like he said, where that thought come from? I don't think like that's because you have been integrated into a conversation that ain't none of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's nothing new underneath the sun.
No, everything's very coordinated. All the thoughts are the same. Nothing new can come in this firmament except when I bring it, because I bring it from the true monad. So new information comes from, I don't know if I can say it, it comes from old souls that have traveled on and chose to come back.
What did I say? Heard about the old souls?
Right. That's the only time new information comes in this. But you know, the alpha and the omega, that time's over with. In the year, I thought, what's the alpha omega? But that rule is over with.
The beginning and
the end. Because that rule's over with. It's over.
You mean the Christian rule?
Yeah, the alpha and omega rule's over with. Let me tell you what I mean, right?
The rule.
Yeah, the rule. Everything in that era is done. They have a certain time period, a certain time they can do it. That's why a lot of people waking up right now, right? Because we're switching. It's a 3D, a 4D, and a 5D dimension and planet we live in now. A lot of people live in 3D. 3D if you believe in your five senses, right? If you believe in your five senses, you're in 3D reality, and it is what it is, right? Well, I'm gonna tell you what I mean. You can't tell a stupid person that this is an atom in 3D reality. They're gonna tell you this solid. And for him, that's the reality.
Right.
That's the absolute truth. You can't make it a lie because it's the truth. But let me tell you what I mean. Remember I told you it's like the different layers, right? But then to the other person who's in the 4D reality, right? He knows that it's an atom, but he can't control it. They call them people crazy.
Right.
They know the information, but the people that in the 5D reality, such as myself, such as her, we not only store the information, but we can control it and also teach it. Not control it as for like control it, but track it. We know it. We can see it. We can understand it.
Understand it.
Mm.
And a lot of people walking on earth they don't.
And manipulate it.
Yeah, but manipulation is just how you want to look at it. Sometimes manipulation is gonna be bad, sometimes it's gonna be cool, but everything must balance. Let me say what I mean. Without death, would you know what life was? Right. Without rich, you wouldn't know what poor was. Right. So sometimes I believe the chosen few, under your discretion, you can choose whether you think that the tables need to be bent a little bit. Right. I was like, sometimes it need to be bent a little bit. Right. But that's all. I think it's on a personal soul to determine. They're not determined by no God. There's no God up there waiting for you to make a move, but just know every move that you make, karma gonna come back for you.
Why do you think that the internet is showing so much dead? Why do you think that right now in the media, all you seeing is
I was going to show before I go into further than that. Well, he was talking about matter and how some people, based on what their frequency is, whether they're living in the 4D, the 5D, etc. Some people know that they can manipulate this thing when they see this atom. They have an actual. Do you know there's an actual patent on walking through walls?
Yes, yes, and that's why
The patent for walking through walls is
how to
U.S.
figure that out
patent
about
200-600-141-25A1.
yeah,
That's the patent to walk through walls.
yeah, and wow. And I like watching a lot of these so-called Eastern Kung Fu movies or karate movies. They tell you how to navigate or how to get past matter, breaking all these bricks and stuff and doing certain things. And it's knowing what frequency, knowing how to manipulate the frequency. And we used to do that stuff just normally. So, sticking your hand through a wall or through something and not get hurt. We've lost a lot of things because of being dumbed down. Our frequency's been dumbed down. There's a book called The Cosmic Code by Zachariah Stitchin. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of Zachariah Sitchin. And like, hold on, this invention is a training system that enables a human being to acquire sufficient hyperspace energy in order to pull the body out of dimensions so the person can walk through wooden doors.
Wow.
The human being is a hyperspace energy being living in a physical container or body that is comprised of 60% water. This high percentage of water makes this invention possible, referring to the figure 1, hyperspace energy receives energy from our dimension through 7 vortices that run through the length of the body. Man, listen.
Yeah,
it's a training system. This is a training system on how to walk through walls, and they patented it. The training system.
Wow.
And I guess they got abandoned because they didn't respond to some kind of a.
Well, now and then, if it gets out too much, the government will go in and they will put a prohibit you from being able to use it or do it, because they're gonna try to use it for weaponize it for the weaponry. That was a thing called remote viewing back in the war, that they passed a law you cannot do it anymore. If you sat at the house and 3 or 4 of us could think on a thing and look into other countries and either kill or gather data. You familiar with that? I'm pretty sure, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in the military, we had a lot of things we learned in the military. It was called remote viewing, and they trained it and started in Germany, where we get these kids. They weren't allowed to speak. They only had to use their mind telepathically, and then they developed their into a gift of being able to psychic clairvoyance to reach into other countries, and you could actually see what they call remote viewing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's what I was trying to. That there's some certain type of beings that are 4th dimensional, 5th dimensional, and this, that, the other. Well, I said, well, whoever that person was aware of how to manipulate that energy to actually be able to tap into that right quick and then come back into. That's crazy right there.
Yeah, that's deep, man. Yeah.
I'm surprised that didn't. I'm like, well, they, they released some of those patents to, they gotta let you. Only reason why I found out about it because somebody was on TikTok talking about it. But yeah, I didn't even know there was a whole system of how to walk through walls. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you can read the documents on how to do it online. Welcome to the internet. Anyways, another thing too I wanted to show you is just like the tuning fork, they have this thing now. It's called the Opus, which is a vibration bed that you can sit on, and it's supposed to be like a. So they're trying to digitize a lot of this, the same thing that these tuning forks and things like that do. They're using it so you sit on the bed and it sends the sound vibrations through the body, and
Mhm.
that is supposed to heal you. So that's another way to let you guys know about the sound vibration and things like that. So now we've covered a lot of stuff. So let's do some final thoughts and kind of like wrap things up. I'm getting sleepy.
Well, I want to say thank you once again, my beloved goddess, for the platform, Alchemizing, and we're trying to elevate our people spiritually so they can get out of this misnomer of demonizing everything. Everything has its value in the system. Learn all you can learn and be able to survive what we're going through. So I want to say Modu Pay for having us on, and looking forward to continue working with you with this program.
Thank you so much. I was hoping that Majin Israel would have been able to make it up. He said his Wi-Fi wasn't working good. We're here every Sunday at 6 o'clock. So if you didn't get to make it tonight, you definitely can come at any other time and come try to make it up here. We cover IFA, but we also cover it in the modern day to understand how we're affected by the things that are going on in modern day society, and how
Right.
IFA applies to what's going on in modern day society. So without further ado, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, now he makes it. He makes it now. We're
Is
about to
that
wrap it
that?
up. Okay. You
Yeah.
there?
It kind
Hello?
of full. Yeah, brother Israel. Okay.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, peace, y'all.
Hey,
Peace,
but
man.
you came right toward the
it's,
end. Well, we're gonna give you a couple
it's
minutes
crazy.
to ask whatever questions.
It is crazy because I don't mean to cut you up. It is crazy because I'm over here like I'm in my house, right? And I have like, okay, don't make fun of me, but I know all the youngins be trying to tell me, hey, why you have cable? Why you still have Optimum and you in Brooklyn and you're blah blah? You should be getting internet and doing this online streaming thing and blah. Listen, me and technology do not mix. Like honestly,
Right, right.
it's
Yeah, you're not
not
missing.
my thing. Like I cannot stand it. Like I can't. I can't do the connection, the wiring to my TV. I let somebody else do it. It is. I don't have patience for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
For real. But
So
like
yeah,
it was just. I know his last. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
did you have a question?
So my thing, like from the beginning, was like, what exactly? Okay, so I'm new to this. I just literally like at that time I bumped into your channel and I was like, let me see what's going on. I usually just, be searching who's live or whatever, what I can learn, what new things I can, learn from. You know what I mean? It's all about building, honestly, for me. On my end. Yes, I am an Israelite. Yes, I am learning the Bible and I am doing them things. And I understand you were an Israelite at one point. My whole thing is just I was just trying to learn like exactly what IFA is. I looked it up honestly. Like I went and I took the Wi-Fi that I could get, and I just Googled it real quick. I don't know if it's exactly what you're on or whatever. It said that it had something to do with like Yoruba teachings and wisdom or whatever. Not too sure if it's
Well,
connected with what you're about.
brother Israel, if I can interject that
Uh-huh.
is what they come out with. But Ifa is much older than the Yoruba nation. Now they've done a lot with perpetuating and tying it into their customs and traditions. But Ifa does not no culture has monopoly on Ifa. Of all the 54 countries and 2,000 different languages, Ifa
Mhm.
covers all of them and across the world, and it's in every facet of life, be it Islamic, Judeo Christianity, even in Judeo and so forth and so on. And we're showing the comparison because the European tried to demonize it when this is one of the oldest science that was created by us and not by some white man that we practice. No white man created Ifa. They
Okay.
created a lot of the religion, but Ifa is a science of communicating between your celestial realm and your terrestrial realm. Being familiar with the Bible, I know you are. Apostle Paul talks about that is a celestial body, then there's a terrestrial body. And the problem is your ori, which is your inner head, and your heart. One is celestial and one terrestrial. Ifa is the system of wisdom that brings a balance that all men need to be balanced and to be able to respect or connect to the source of your creator. And that's
Okay.
why it is so they tend to demonize it.
Okay. I can see. Okay. I got a clearer I got a clearer view of what. Okay, I get it. So all right, so I can dig it. You know what I mean? I don't see anything wrong with learning that, honestly, because like you said, like the last thing you said is how we get closer to our higher being, our our most high, as us Israelites say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and
But the thing is that in the Bible they'll say
Mm.
divination or doing any divination is considered to be Satan or evil, or God does not agree with it or something like that. You're supposed to go
agree with what exact? I'm sorry, you said nation of. I'm sorry. What? Say that one more time.
Well, see, and she said in the Bible, and it does. It got places in there that you shouldn't do this and that. Well, what you look at in the Bible, Yahweh is a jealous God. If you're going to do anything at all, you must do it to me. I give you the system to do it, but don't take my system and use the other gods. I think it's in Exodus. It says don't and it says make no mention of a God.
Not for any other gods. Yeah, do not
Better
put
watch
any
your
God.
mouth. Okay, but remember, it was Yahweh that gave the system to Aaron and to the priesthood called the Yom
Right.
Theorem. Right. So he don't want you taking that and using it with any other deities, even though other deities have a form of it. But now you realize where did it come from?
Right.
Yeah, and see that's what the problem is. Not that it's evil. Yahweh just don't. I call it Yah don't want you to divine anybody but Yah. You know.
Right. Exactly. There's a like for me, there's a system that he gave us, but there's a way that he is. You know, nobody knows exactly how he is. I mean, we know he is all being. He is omni, I guess, as they say, like he's everywhere. He is, you know what I mean? And it is what it is. That's his wisdom within himself. You know what I mean? And he gives us a certain amount of that, I guess, you know what I mean? For us to figure it out.
Yeah, he chose the Israelite as the apple of his eye. You are my people, and I'm jealous, and I don't want you to put them out with no other gods but me.
Right.
That's what it's all about. Not that they're wrong, but you ain't gonna play with me over there and play with them too. We got a problem.
Right. So I guess like as as us being, I'm trying to figure out basically like, okay, I might as well ask basically now that I'm here. I might as well ask Elder. What, like, are you completely separated from your beliefs in being an Israelite, or are you just separated from basically what brothers, they have I have a disagreement with it, of course, you know what I mean? I don't agree with a lot of brothers that teach. I don't agree with a lot of camps that teach, or a lot of Israelites in general that are teaching out there. I really don't agree with a lot that they say. This is why I definitely separated myself, not in a way where I'm going to separate myself from my brothers, like that in that way, but I'm just going to separate myself from really listening to man and taking their habits or taking their ways of doing things, when there's so much more better ways of handling the situation that we're in. So I can understand where, you can separate yourself, but in the belief of getting to a higher being, I get you got that. You know what I'm saying? I understand you made that clear already that you do believe in a higher being, or at least that's how I took it as. Right.
And you are correct.
How do we get closer to the high being aside from just following law, statutes, and commandments, and actually taking what we have in us already, which is our brain, our heart, our mind, into getting into more deeper subjects, which is, like when they say move as wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. There's a science to that. There's a science. There's a whole background, and it ain't just follow a bird or follow a snake. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta actually get the science to the background of that. You know what I mean? And that's how you get.
You got to understand the nature of both of those things that he used, the dove and the snake. What is the
Right.
nature of the characteristic of this
Exactly.
animal? And to answer your first question, when I came through the Israelite Hebrew Israelite community, I was on a journey trying to find the original organic man that is from this ram, from the 13th ram. So now, and I found out in my search studying both among the Hebrew
You said the
Israelites.
13th ram? I'm sorry, not to cut you off. You said the 13th ram?
13th ram. This is the 13th ram or 13th planet.
Okay, you took. Oh, okay. Ram. You said ram. I'm sorry.
The word ram or rim or dimension.
A ram.
You
Yeah.
call it
I get what you
dimension.
said. Right.
Okay.
Right.
But so in traveling, I'm finding out that it's much more. And then as I begin to study with the authors of the Old Testament, which is called the Ashkenazis and the Sephardic Jews or Zionists, I found that they borrowed a whole lot of stuff from other cultures of the East. And
But
where do
you get that the Ashkenazis and them actually were the originators of the
they tell you that in their text. Matter of fact, in Genesis,
what text is that?
When you go to their schools and their synagogues and stuff and pull out their works, it's called Jewish myth and legends. If you got a search and type in,
they go by the Talmud, of course, and they go by the rabbis, and they go by the imaginations and the whole. We know that they actually took a lot of the customs and everything from the Romans and the Greeks. You know what I'm saying, which got them up to the point where we don't follow them anymore. We're actually rising to the point where we actually realize what's the difference between us and them. So I could understand that, but I just mean like just off the thing of saying they wrote the original text or anything. Like I don't believe the Ashkenazis are there, but they're not the original Jews. So they're not the original writers or scribes of text. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, that's all. I agree with what you're saying. I get it. I get where you're going with it. But if you're going with it towards, the actual facts or whatever.
If you allow me to explain what I'm saying. Okay.
Of course,
First and foremost, the people that wrote the material that we're following are those priests of that particular group. Your book talks about the Ashkenazis and Genesis and all that. But how many of this? Because remember the word Israelite, the etymology of it, where did it come from?
Well, it came from Jacob. That was his new name.
Now, wait a minute. Abraham, wait a minute. Abraham was never called Israelite. Wait a minute.
Even Abraham was never from.
Hey,
was
never. One mic. One mic, sir. Megan, one mic. When one person's talking, each person's got to give each other time to talk. We can't hear you. No, we can hear what you're saying. If you, Megan, we can't hear. If you guys talk over each other, we can't hear what you're saying. So you got to let when he's saying something break, and then when you're saying something break. So because we can't hear what's going on.
I get it. I'm sorry. I get it. I get the mics. We're on two different sides. I get it now.
Right. But
I thought it was like a whole other thing. We talking. I get it.
It sounds like mumbo jumbo. It sounds like mumble, like blah, 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 blah. So you gotta stop talking.
What we have to watch is our emotions.
I got it.
You gotta keep emotions out and use common sense and logic. I come from a perspective of common sense and logic. I do not let because one thing about politics and religion, your emotions a lot of times override common sense and logic. I practice the thing. I've studied with them. I've been with them. I've been in debates. I've been in classes. And I know we're saying as people of color. But remember, how many books did we ever write and publish on the market? Most we get, you got those writers came from their camp. They're the one to tell us the story. It is their history out there they got out there. And most time we're debating or regurgitating or perpetuating what they said. Because if you understand the origin of the book of Genesis, allow me to ask you this, and I'm just as an elder to another young warrior. What is the oldest book in the Torah?
I mean, supposedly is supposed to be obviously in order, so it's gonna go from the beginning of the world.
It's
to
not in
Genesis.
order. It's not in order. The Bible is not in
No,
chronological
I'm
order.
not saying in order. I'm not saying that it is in order. I'm saying if we're gonna go by order, then we got to go to the beginning of the world. So we have to go back to Genesis.
Then it would not be. It would be the book of Job, or Yahab. It's older than the book of Genesis.
Job?
Yes, sir.
Well, it would be if it's older, it wouldn't be the beginning of the Bible. It wouldn't be the beginning of the Bible.
I'll tell you,
it would have to go. So
anybody
it
can
ain't
tell
in
you,
order in that sense.
because when they colonize it, they put it among poetry. If you look up what is the oldest book in the Bible, it's gonna say the book of Job. Don't take my word for it, my brother. Don't believe that thing I'm saying. Look it up. It's the oldest.
No, I get that sense. I definitely get
Wait
that
a
sense.
minute.
I'm not gonna say it's true. I'm not gonna say it's false, but I'm saying yes, I would do my lookup. But my whole thing is that in order to, if you say order or oldest or whatever newest, or, you know what I mean?
I didn't say chronology. I just said what is the oldest book.
Got you.
The next thing is, I want you to look up how many creation stories is in the book of Genesis.
Stories
I want you to do this research, and when you come back, I want you to tell me how many creation stories is in the book of Genesis. Who is Lydia?
Creation in basically the whole world, or is it going by?
No. In the
chapter
book,
verse,
you're hearing, but you're not listening to me. Listen, what I'm saying. The oldest creation story. How many creation stories is in the book of Genesis? Who is the first wife of Adam? Because Eve is not here. Okay? How many children did Adam and Eve have? Okay. These things you need to know. And then at your leisure, don't believe nothing old man said, look up Jewish myths and legends.
Okay.
Now, I know you can go to Britannica and get it, but there's a book called the Encyclopedia Judaica, where they keep all their records in. Whether we accept it or not, they're the one that's doing the writing and publishing. We're getting books from them, and we're trying to decipher that. I'm not going to debate with you all because I love you. I love your energy.
No, I wouldn't even debate.
Yeah,
I ain't even up to that level, and I literally am not here for that. Like I just just go by what being that you have a relation to that. You know what I mean? It's a good time to.
Trust me, I got one.
This is actually the first time I get on a live. Like I kid you not, to actually ask somebody else outside of
the
brotherhood. Like outside of that. Like this is the first time, and honestly, I'm thankful for that. I'm not like
and
that.
I'm glad that the Creator allowed you to come on because I'm where you were many, many years ago. I was in the same position back in the 70s, and I run across the country. You couldn't. Man, you're like, oh man, we're gonna fight if you come across there. I had to learn. I had to learn. You got if I'm gonna defend something, at least know the history and origin of it.
Exactly. That's what I'm on. Like I don't want to follow man. I want to know if I'm gonna follow man, they gotta give me something. They got something that I'm gonna learn from. Something
and
that's gonna give me challenge.
Because I'm fooling with your father of your faith and your belief. So you're supposed to lay down and take it. You're supposed to stand up and fight like a wild man. Because you're messing with my soul. And I've been there. And I fought some fights. I had to learn, wait a minute. But I had to learn to quit hearing and start listening. See, we hear a lot of times to debate, to defend. Learn to listen and then go take the instructions and see if it be so or not.
Of course.
He said, study so that's of approval. He said, study to show that's of approval and work when it need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So that means
listen, my thing is that if he says something and you don't agree with it, if you don't agree, can you hear me? There must be like a small delay. I was gonna say if you get a piece of
side. I think it's your side because me and him going back and forth like it's whatever.
No, because I'm talking and you're talking over me, so I figured you couldn't hear what I was saying. But I was saying is that if you get a piece of paper and you write down anything that you contest that he's saying. You're saying, is this true or not? And then you look it up, and then you can come back next week and say, hey, I looked this up, and this is what I found. This is an open place.
Oh, of course. Of course.
You're not, your comments aren't blocked, Cherokee. I can see your comments, Cherokee Janae. See, I just posted your comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me. My bad.
No, there's somebody that said something in the chat.
Oh, gotcha.
I would love for you to come back, because I'm loving your spirit. I'm feeling your energy, and I'm saying he was where I was in the 70s, man. Man, if you came in the 70s talking about this ain't that, man, we going to wall. We're going to wall.
Of course. I know that. I know that. I got some elders on my side. Believe me, I deal with them all the time.
And the guys I was with back in Jack, man, oh man. So I had to learn to not just hear, but to listen.
But to listen, right?
And when you hear, don't stop hearing and learn to listen. Because if you're only hearing to argue, it's not productive. But if I learn to listen and understand everything being said, you know the story of the eunuch in the desert. He was reading, and the writer says, "Understand without reading, I can understand if somebody teach me." So, in other words, the book says wisdom is the principal thing. But out of all of your getting, do what? Get an understanding. Well, you can't get understanding if you're going to argue. Sit back and listen for the key words and key statements in the in a situation. And this is what I did. And when I did that, I found out, hell, man, I'm on the wrong train. Right track, wrong train.
Right.
So I would love for you to come back. Sister Monica.
Oh, I definitely will. You know, Lord, when I definitely will come back.
Yeah, we can learn together. Because I'm only 79 years old. You know, I'm still a baby.
Of course. You still got it, Elder. You know what I mean? You still got it. Come on now.
And we come back and we will sit down and have a talk, and we'll cut up, and somebody's gonna learn from our conversation. As we go
That's
through
actually
this.
what I thought about before that. I was like, I need to get on there, because it's like, come on, man. I'm always, there's always somebody that's like, oh, this and that. Like, if you coming on here, blah, 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 blah. That's what I mean. I'm not saying I was on it. I'm just saying
love over
I
here,
had to make it clear.
Hey, number love over here, bro. Love.
I had to make it clear, like, hey, I just heard y'all. I clicked on it and I was curious. And at the end of the day, we control ourselves, of course. We do our thing, but I feel like things are just meant to be. You know what I'm saying? So
you're welcome.
I had to jump on there. You know what I mean? And it was on respectful.
Wait, Cherokee Jones is asking about who Lydia is. Who's Lydia?
Yep, it's Lilith, sugar. If you pull her up, it's Lilith. She
Lilith. You're talking about Lilith.
Lilith. And she's the first wife of Adam, according to scripture. And she's in Genesis 1, chapter 1, in the first chapter, where saying he created them, a male and female created them, and they were made at the same time. And that is the issue that's in the story, because Eve was created later on. So if you pull up Lilith, there you go, pull up Lilith. It says, will you please read that?
That's in KJV?
In Jewish folklore, Lilith is a name given to the first woman created alongside Adam in Genesis 1:27, before Eve was created in Adam's rib. So 1.1 Genesis 1:27. And how come we're only talking about the King James Version? Why are we only going by the King James Version of the Bible when there's older Bibles in the King James Version?
Because the KJV was actually translated from the original Dead Sea Scrolls. It was only translated to the Greek, from Hebrew to the Greek into the Roman.
No.
So we only go by Dead Sea Scrolls, and then we go by, when it comes to the New Testament, we just go by basically what the Hamashiach is about, who's going to come through, you know what I mean, and get us out this, captivity and all that. You know what I mean? And then we have Hamashiach coming through in the spirit, which is so-called Jesus Christ, who's not Jesus Christ, because they ain't have them names and whatever.
When
Caesar Borgia took over that, you know what I mean?
Let's go back. That is, if you go back and look at the history of the King James Bible, it came from the Geneva Bible, and there is no original manuscript of the King James Bible, because the original King James have 80 books and not 66. The 1611 has
Of course,
80
there were
books.
books that were separated. Of
Yeah, I
course, there were
understand,
books that were separated.
but
The Apocrypha was separated.
okay,
It was books that were
follow me,
separated.
brother
Definitely.
Israel. Follow me. I have a copy in my shelf of the 1611. It has 80 books written in Britannian English doublets. It's not written like ours is. And then there's a 1613 Bible, King James, called the She Bible. Are you familiar with it?
Not too familiar, but I would definitely look into that. What is that called again? Sorry, let me hold on. No, I was gonna write it
Right,
down.
go get a piece of paper and a pen, write it down.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Let me take that.
You need to have a pen and paper over here. You need to be writing stuff. You gotta take
Let
notes.
me take this advice from earlier. Let me get that pen and paper real quick.
Because look, I got 1,500 books in my library, and I read those. And brother, I'll carry you down the road. I'm not what I hear, what I say. I'm going to give you the documents. Not
of course. You know, we always got to get back to the background of it.
Right.
We got to get back to.
He got 1,500 books in that library behind him. So
yeah, so you know
I can see. I can see it quite clear.
But I've been in this a long time.
I can see it quite clear.
Yeah, you know. So let's go here. There's a book you might want to get. It's called History of the English Bible from the KJV to the NIV. Yes, Mr. Marker. There's a book written by John Wycliffe, 1536. It's older than the King James. The King James is the 8th translation of the English book of the book, and it's a late edition. There's an 1884 that's older that came after that.
That was after that. Okay.
You got the Wycliffe, the Carbondale, and all. Look up the history of the English Bible. You got 8 or 9 books, and in this book it says that a lot of things that's in the King James was copied from the Geneva Bible and the Bishop Bible. Another thing, there is no original.
Was it translated or like it was?
No, it was copied. There is no original.
So it was put from one book to another.
Yeah, there's no original manuscript. Yeah, Israel. It came from Oxford. The group out of Oxford. The 52 men that translated the book. Francis Bacon. What's the guy named? Shakespeare. And all of them that have translated
Renaissance and all of that, like Renaissance era and all that. I'm talking about Langelos and all these other scribes.
This give you the history. Yeah, I'm sorry. This give you the history.
Elder, not to cut you, but let me ask you real quick. Do all them books from ancient scrolls coming on that were obviously going on in the Bible that got tracked? Are we talking about different versions? Or are we talking about it changed and it's supposed to be something else? Because the word of God don't change. So did it change the word of God, or did it actually, is this different years where there are different versions of the Dead Sea Scrolls going about?
Dead Sea Scrolls don't even appear in that. And you said the key word is called the King James what? Version.
Well, it's the King James version because he authorized the version. He didn't rewrite anything except translate it. I said he authorized the translation. He didn't change any words. So we can always go to the original Hebrew and actually go by the original text and get these words and everything that, you know what I'm saying, which is why, you know,
I love it.
No, I mean, when you was an Israelite, you know what I mean, and you was in the camp probably, or you was giving the youngsters some information on all that, and you was considered an elder, then you would obviously know that this wasn't changed or nothing like that. It was just translated. So we could always go back to Hebrew and actually get out. And it's not regular Hebrew as in the Yiddish Hebrew, as these so-called we already know. I'm not even gonna mention it, whatever, because you know how that goes. But we could go back to the Paleo Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, and go back to them original texts that are in the Dead Sea Scrolls and actually.
Brother Israel. Yes. I have the whole Paleo original writings on my shelf, Torah and the Tanakh on my shelf. And I ask you, can you read Paleo?
I am just starting to learn. Yes, I am just starting to learn.
Can you read Paleo?
No, I'm not gonna lie to you, Elder. I'm not gonna say that I know Paleo and I can just read it like that or whatever. But at the end of the day, when you have more than one rising, which is basically, you see our brothers and sisters nowadays that are teaching the Paleo Hebrew. It was never wrong. There's no about it. There's nobody debunking it. There's nobody doing anything because they all.
Because you're going. Okay, he was actually trying to make a point. Could you like? I think he was asking you, did you read Paleo, and then he was going to make a point. So go ahead. What was the point, Baba? What you?
I happen to have the dictionary, the origin, the books of the Paleo, and the question: what is the word for God in the Paleo?
For the Most High, His name, or God in general?
What is the name? What is the name of the Most High? What's the name of in the Paleo?
Yahweh. Yahweh.
What is it?
Yahweh.
No, it's not.
What is it?
It says Abarashit bara Alahayim Asamayim Wa'adet. In the beginning, the creative breath made the heavens and the earth. It's called Alahayam.
Okay, and what word does all of that come into?
Come out of the Paleo, my brother.
No, I'm saying, what does all of them words right there, that whole definition, what does that come about for the word that was given for the name of God? That the Most High.
The name of, okay, here's the quick. The word God does not appear in the answer. There was no word for
the
God.
Word God, of course, in the Paleo is power. It's only power. We are power.
No, but wait a minute. Wait a minute. See, there we go.
We look at Yahweh, the Most High God, which is the Most High power. That's for all of us.
Oh, I'm gonna love this. Let's go back to the etymology. Where did the word God come from, etymologically speaking? How old is the word?
How
old is the word God? I'm being real.
How old is the word power? How old is the word power? How old is the word power?
No, but let's stay with
I
the
mean, it's just
narrative.
a translation from Hebrew.
Listen, because you're wanting to have a kind of a debate in a situation, you can't answer a question with a question. He asked you, yes, it is. If you're going back and forth, it kind of is a debate. But listen, let me say this. Hold on, listen.
Not a debate.
Because you're no, it is a debate.
I think whenever you come in,
hold on, you see how I'm talking, and you're talking over me. No, I'm not. No,
youngster just talking.
Could you please just let me finish my sentence? Could you please let me finish my sentence, please?
But you already made
so
it.
Here's no. I need to finish my sentence. I didn't finish my sentence. That's the problem. You're very
you said debate.
Listen.
It's literally a man and a man talking right now. Like
I don't give a fuck. This is my
and a youngster.
Sir, this is my platform. I don't give a hell who. This is my goddamn platform, and you don't tell me shit.
That is perfectly fine, sister. That is perfectly fine, sister. But I'm just addressing
my platform, and you don't talk to me like that. Look,
you're saying that it's a.
Let me try to explain something to you. This is my platform. I can mute you. I can kick you off. I don't have to keep you here. So what I was saying is that with Baba, okay, he was basically asking you a question about the etymology of God. You said that what you asked him a question, what is the etymology of power? I said that when you're having a conversation like this, where you're kind of in a debate kind of a situation, because it is kind of a debate, he's asking you a question and then you're coming back with a question. That is not a proper way to debate. You have to answer the question. If you don't know the answer, then you would ask him, okay, well, what are what the point he's trying to make? And then when he makes his point, then you say that, then you make your point. That's normally how a respectful conversation is supposed to go. Okay?
You literally just said that when he said what the etymology is, I said what the etymology is for power. So obviously I'm literally taking it as I don't know. So what is the etymology of power? Because obviously if I'm saying that God means power, and we're gonna that word power is just a translation to Hebrew. So it's like, what is the etymology of power in general? So it's a question with a question. Of course, but
if he's asking you when did the word God come into even being a thing or a word? Okay,
because I said that
you turn back away and say, well, what is the etymology of power?
We literally was going back and forth quite fine before you came in. Like, I don't understand.
Well, because no, I don't care. I had to step in because
I think the elder knows that already. Like, you literally just cut in, and I literally said God equals power, right? Means
No,
power
but
in
that's not
Hebrew.
the etymology. That's not etymology,
Okay,
sir.
so that's why I said, what is the etymology
Do
of
you have a
power? If
Webster's
I'm the guy,
dictionary?
come
Do you
on,
have a
man.
Webster's
Put it up
dictionary?
on.
Do you know
You
how to
didn't
look
have
it up
to,
on Google?
okay, but you didn't have for that
You don't
though.
know what the word etymology means. Do you know what the word etymology means, sir?
Sister, he could have easily explained that. You cut it for no reason. I don't
Well,
know why
you
you
well
came
you you've been cutting him off the
It
whole
don't make no
time,
sense.
sir.
It don't make no sense why you came in just now. It don't make no damn sense because he
Because it's my
literally
this is my show, and I could do
But
that.
why
Well,
would you cut in though? It
because
makes no
because
it
because you,
makes no
I didn't
sense.
like how the conversation was. You kept cutting them
All right,
off, and
that's fine.
no
If you
one
don't
can
like
hear.
it, it's
Nobody can
okay.
hear.
If you don't
Listen,
like it,
nobody can
that's
listen. I'm
fine.
not
But
going to
you
talk
didn't
over you. I'm not going to talk over you, sir. You're muted. Okay, that's how it goes. Okay, if I can't control what's going on, you will not be able to speak. That's how it works. Okay. When he's Baba, you said the etymology of God, right?
Right.
What was the point you were trying to make there? Since he can't
Point is,
be quiet and control himself.
the point is, if the word didn't exist at the time of the writing, then then it has no validity. The word God came from the grammatic people or the Goth people laid down the road. That's why the Jewish people or the Ashkenazis does not use the word God. Even when they write a GD and leave the O out because this is not something part of their language. The word God is a generic. It's a generic term, and they don't use it. So look up the etymology of it. Please do that. And I'm trying to help my
I will,
young warrior brother know. Remove your emotions. That would get in trouble. And learn to listen.
I
Because you can't
literally
answer a question. Because I'm not gonna answer a question with a question. Because I'm not gonna do you like it. I'm gonna send you to the source that people are used to using. And the word is called etymology of a word. So if you pull up the etymology, it'll tell you when the word became a part of the lexicon and when it was first used. Not as what you want to go with the origin and for clarity, other than Archbishop Ursher, who gave you the chronology of the Bible's timeline, there is no other timeline. And most scholars recognize Archbishop Ursher as the originator of the timeline for the Bible. Are you not familiar with him? Then you don't understand that he said the world started on October the 23rd, 4004 BC. Now, where in the hell was he at in 4004 BC? When you go back and look at the Jewish people who put this thing together, they say that Moses did not write the books of the Torah. They'll credit the record to Moses. Moses wasn't even not around when all that stuff took place. When you study with those who gave you the material and check their record, they've got we say it came from the Dead Sea Scroll. The Dead Sea Scroll makes no mention of the thing that's in there. It's in the record of Gilgamesh and the Sumerian tablets. You got many floods. You got many creation stories because every nation has a creation story. Which one is the oldest?
origination from?
Huh? Everyone has. What is the oldest creation story in existence today?
But if it was the old nations, but this is what I'm saying though.
Simple
We're gonna
question,
go by
Did you want me to read
Here we go again.
did you want me to read the etymology of the word God?
Here we
The
go.
earliest written reference of the word God
Yeah,
is a
we're not
Germanic.
going by the why is it that I don't understand? Like me and Elder are having a very, very calm and cool conversation. I just don't understand why you cut in.
Because that's how, sir. Because listen, normally when he asks me for a definition of something to pull something up, I pull it up and I read it so that people can read it and I know what he's getting at. Okay, so he asked me what the to pull up what the etymology of the word God is, and I pulled it up and I'm reading the definition of it. So listen, I'm being very patient with you. I'm allowing you to kind of be really rude to me, even though this is my platform, this is my show. And I don't know why you don't understand how to be a decent person and not be rude to me and allow me to run my show. You know what I'm saying? So like I was saying, it's not a thing where you get to just do what you want, you know? So the earliest written reference to the word God is in a Germanic language dates back to the 6th century CE in the Codex Argenteus, a Gothic translation of the Bible. The English word God itself is derived from Proto-Germanic Guden, which means to invoke. The concept of a single all-power God, however, predates the written word, with evidence suggesting the idea existed in various cultures thousands of years before the 6th century CE. So is that what you were trying to get at, Baba?
Yes.
Okay, so
and the thing about it, so when you go back to the language itself, and it says Guten, we use a lot of these words every day. And what I was trying to get them to see, the origin and the source will tell you, because many of us have not written anything. I've written a few books and things, but have not written or published anything that's in the market that we use as source of reference. So when you say them, but I'll name me how many Hebrew Israelites have written any books or Bibles and put them on the market of color. Now we talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Have you ever read the Dead Sea Scrolls in its entirety? Who published it? Who edited it? And where did it come from? Because we don't control no printing press, control no paper, and we damn sure don't control a lot of information. So where did it come from, and who wanted to interpret it and gave it to?
It came from the translations.
And who did the translations?
It doesn't matter. The translations came through.
Brother,
why would it matter if we can still go back to the Hebrew? Why would it matter if we can still go back to the Hebrew? Why would it matter if the word of God travels into different languages?
Not the word of God.
It doesn't.
It is not like. I apologize. Listen, brother.
I got you.
You cannot say it doesn't matter. If it causes your blood pressure to go up, it causes you to want to argue, then it matters. Your soul.
if it causes your blood pressure to go up, it's because you
all that. Because and that means because you got an affinity, you got a love for it, and you're trying to defend it. It matters.
Of course,
it matters. So because it matters, it matters to you. It matters to me. It matters to you.
We call that compassion, Elder.
Yeah, compassion. And it's there, and I can appreciate that. That was me back. That you or me back in the 70s, man. And, I mean, come on, shit. I went around Jack Ready. I was like a shark in muddy water. But I had to learn not to just hear, but to listen, and then go do the research, read, research, and review. Remember the 3 R's.
I'm not saying I'm not listening.
Yeah, read, research, and review. I want you to understand that. Read, research, and review. And the next thing I want you to understand when you get this, always examine the information, see where the source it came from, who is the joker behind it. I gave you a list of authors that wrote about this. I can give you the ecumenical councils, the 18 ecumenical councils that created the book that you call the Bible.
What did they write about, though? What did they write about? Like, did they write about going against it, or
I'm hearing your compassion.
What are the facts of going against it? It's like,
no. I'm not. I'm trying to enlighten you while you're trying to go against. And I understand you got to stand up and fight. Be like
no. I mean them. I mean the authors. Like, what are they writing that's going against Torah?
Evidently, they believe, because a lot of folks are quitting and going back, checking behind them to see how on point are they. I ask you, how many Hebrew Israelite brothers have written anything? We're always quoting what somebody else said. How many of us have ever written anything that defines our position of how we feel about this whole thing that dealing with Hebrew Israelite as a nation, as a people, and as being the chosen people? How many of us
we wouldn't have any of the elders. We wouldn't have any of our forefathers if it wasn't for that. Everybody had a part in it. Everybody had a part in it, because
it's not true.
You know that every time they had the school,
how many got published? How many got published writings
every time you know that, as a Hebrew Israelite, if you know from back from your teachings, you know that when go in the Bible, it speaks about, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I told you from the beginning, I'm not a scholar. I'm just getting into it. Just getting into my learning. You know what I mean? Okay, we in the same position. We in the same position then, Elder.
Yeah, we in the same position. I read a lot.
I mean, not in the exact position. You got your stuff. I got, but we in the same thing. We just trying to, build up to the answers. So my thing is just that we go back to that, right? So what exactly is basically separating that? You know what I mean? The writings that they're putting out that have to do with, like, okay, we say the Jewish people, right? But what does that have to do with our people? Like, what does that have to do with the original Israelites that actually went through the curses and went through what is written from the past? And how did the past scriptures get passed on after getting burned? We know that they destroyed. We have it on record. There's no question about, oh, well, this man wrote this and this man wrote that. Of course we know that. But how many times them scrolls or scriptures was burned or destroyed by the opposite, right? By the rulers, by the oppressor, and the word still came out to this day as it was way back. So now you say, how is it getting passed by different scholars or different writers or different? It's supposed to get passed on. Like that's how it gets spread out. If I know English,
you is this. hear me and hear me now.
I got you. Go ahead.
I say, hear me and hear me now. Based on your what you just said.
I'm sorry, Elder.
I'm listening. Let me finish.
No. I was gonna say. I'm sorry. I was gonna say. Give me just 10 seconds, real quick. I'm coming right back. Give me just 10 seconds. 10 seconds, bro. I got you.
Cherokee, thank you, love, for being so patient. Yeah. I love this because I was in the same position many years ago. I had to go through some of the same thing. It's called it's intellectual rebirth.
Well, listen, I let the show go on longer just so you guys can have this conversation. We were about to end it like an hour ago.
We're about to end it.
I think I deserve some gratitude for that. Hey, thank you for letting us continue to talk because we were going to end this.
All praise to the Most High, and even if you don't believe, like it's all praise to the Most High. I love you, sis. Like this is why I came on because I already was hearing y'all talk, and I'm like, yes, this is the type of people I can talk to. Like I can sit down and have a conversation with. You know what I mean? Aside from everybody else.
Yeah, we're gonna make it be so. But what I'm going to ask you to do when I give you, not that I want you to believe, don't believe nothing I'm saying. I want you to go and check the sources, check my sources and your sources. Come up with a summary conclusion. Come back and share me your personal thoughts on it, and we're gonna talk about it because it's imperative because you're a young warrior. The book says the elder, the elder you teach, we teach you, the elder teach you, and the young is for war. Elders for counsel, young for war. So as an elder, I want to give you the proper. So when you go out there, because you're gonna meet some people out there that, man, you think, whoa, you ain't seen some serious cats out there as you get out there. Now I'm in Louisiana. I don't know where you are now, but I've been doing this stuff since around 88. Now I've been in Muslim camps, I've been in Hebrew camps, I've been with Malachi York, Ben Armin, all the way down. Because I remember when the first group went over to Dimona to start trying to find out to claim the land over there, and met the Colossians, went over there to set up the first camp in Dimona, Israel, and then they came back and found out it's not based on Father Abraham. You know what a Jew says that his culture is based on? On the mother. It ain't based on the father. They say, well, then if you're Israelite, who is your mother? What do you mean? Who is your mother?
That's as we say Esau's side. That's Esau's side. You know, we go by the father. We go by the seed. You know,
and with Esau, and that's who's running. The Zionists is running the medium. Are you familiar with a book called Protocol of the Learned Elders of Zion? They tell you they're the one that wrote the book.
That's right.
So if I know that they wrote it, then I'm going to them. I'm asking them, what's the deal? So when I'm talking to you, not that I'm trying to show how smart, because I don't know SHI from the IT, but I can tell you this: over my years of research and reading, and time with the group that I studied group in Texas, we put an hour because we were in search of the divine, of the chosen people, and why we're not being more, why we're not progressing. I know what it says in Deuteronomy 28 chapter, in those verses. I know what it says in the last few verses.
Believe you, brother. I believe you.
And I had a question. Wait a minute. And I had a question about the last verses because it says that you will leave Egypt and return in ships. Nowhere in history did the Israelites leave out of Egypt in ships and go back in ships. You walked in under Joseph and walked out with Moses. So where's the damn ships? It
said, no, it was future prophecy.
Where it said you be sold to your enemy and no man will buy you. Well, hell, we got sold all over the damn place. So that won't fit the narrative.
But that's
So
the
now we
thing
got a
though.
problem.
You see how you said wait, hold on. Hold on. Let me get that again. Hold on. You said that we didn't go out in ships?
No, according to Deuteronomy 28 chapter verse, so that's 6 to 7, 6 to 8, it says you
Okay.
will Monica, if you can pull that up, he says you went into Egypt in ships and and we went out in ships. Monica, pull up Deuteronomy 28 chapter and let's go to that last few verses. And we'll let the book speak, and I'll show you where my problem coming in at.
What I'm sorry, what book of chapter was that?
Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. Let's go to those last, I think like verse 6 to 7, 6 to 8, maybe 6 to 9. But go there.
Gotcha.
And I want you to read it.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I got exactly what you said. Yeah, I see it. Should we go before that?
No, I want you to read it and walk it through.
Hold on. Let me just read the one before that, just so we don't just jump right in. You know what I mean? I want to see what leads to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, by all means, by all means.
Right. All right. So this is Deuteronomy 28 and 67.
Yeah.
Down to 68. Salaki.
Right.
In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even? Would God it were even? And at even thou shalt say, would God were morning? For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for thy sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Going down to 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So it's not exactly how you said, but you know, we can go more or less, of course, you know.
But now, if you go back to that, okay, even if you want to flip it and say that Egypt is America, right? And we came in ships, but did we not get bought and sold on the auction block? That means that won't work.
I mean, yeah, we were. I mean, we basically came from West Africa, you know, on the slave trade, you know, and it wasn't the first slave trade, you know. We know that. We know the transatlantic slave trade was one of the biggest slave trades, and that was ran by the Arabs. You know what I'm saying?
Sure?
So, positive.
But the key phrase, hold on, the key phrase is no one will buy you at the end. The last thing was no one will buy you. So they bought us. So now we got.
They didn't buy us. What are you talking about? They sold us into slavery, and we actually went into ships.
If someone sells something, don't you have to be bought? Doesn't have to be bought.
Hold on, I got you right now. So we got put onto slave ships, right? Mm-hmm. When it says no one will buy you, it means nobody can take you out of captivity. How many people came through? How many? Hold on. And I finish.
That's not what the book says. Remember, stay with the narrative.
I'm still gonna finish.
Stay with the narrative, Brother Israel. Don't add anything. Don't add to take away from Brother Israel.
No, I'm not adding. I'm not adding or taking away.
Yes,
no, I'm not. I'm literally. Look, the sister asked me about buying, right? Buying. No man shall buy you after the captivity, right? No man shall buy you.
It didn't say
or
that.
Can buy you, or can buy. I'm not. Okay, Salakia for that. I'm not gonna say that's the exact words that it says in the verse. Salakia for that. Right. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say that she said that you will be sold and no man will buy you. I'm not sure if it says exactly that, but I understand that that's where she's going with it, right? Am I right or wrong?
Buy you.
Sister, am I right or wrong?
It won't work.
Sister, so
it said, okay, according to Deuteronomy, it says, okay, 68, the Lord will send you back in ships to Egypt on a journey I said you should never make again. There you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you.
So that's the part you was getting at?
and that is NIV. That's not King James. That's NIV.
Right. I was about to say it sounded a little different, but I know it's being read from version.
That's NIV. I know what it is.
No, I got you.
No, it says King James version. Okay, let me see.
No. It's definitely I mean, it still is the same thing. It still mean the same thing or whatever. Like we could say that
the key phrase is no one will buy you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So we were bought and sold. We were bought and sold. The moment we got into America, people put us on the auction block, and then they bought, and different slave owners purchased us, and that's why they have all those dockets of information where they actually like have the records of the slaves, and we have a shipping and all that stuff like that. That's why
I mean, if we want to get back, if we want to go back to, like, if that's your whole thing, right, sis? That was your whole, like, the whole buying thing.
That was her. That's his thing. That's not my thing. I don't get it. I was never a Hebrew Israelite. I'm just going by what.
No. I'm sorry. I thought you meant. I'm sorry. I thought you was coming in with like, why does the question?
It's there. Not only that, brother Israel. I was reading, and I asked him, brother, one time, where did God come from? Have you ever been asked that question?
I mean, before even that, we got to get back to that first one.
No. Stay with the narrative. Stay with the narrative.
No, we are. Well, I didn't even get to.
Hold on. So he said that he was trying to make a point, and then he asked you a question about the point he was trying to make, and then you skipped over what he was asking and said, "Well, we need to go back." So are you trying to go back to what we were talking about before with Deuteronomy and wrap that up before we go to the next subject? Is that what we're trying to do, Megan?
I mean, yeah, I thought we didn't get to that. I mean, we was going back and forth about that, and then you came in and you were like the whole buying and selling thing, and I'm like, I'm just trying to get to
that was what he was trying to explain to you.
Okay, so can I answer it?
But because you're rambling, you're not hearing what his point is, because you're trying to prove him wrong and you're not listening to him. And so I come in, I clarify it. I read the actual scripture where it says what he's trying to explain to you. And you're saying that we didn't come to an understanding because I came in with myself and ruined everything. No, I'm trying to clarify because you're not listening to what he's saying and your point he's trying to get.
Literally did not say that, sis. I said that a way long time ago when you came in.
No,
stop it, please.
Look, let's end this.
No,
I want you to listen back to this, sir, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's all. If you got to record it, I kid you not, it is for your studies. You should look back at it because I'm literally here live, and I'm having a conversation with dude and with Elder. Actually, all the respect. And you came. So what I'm trying to get is that you came out of nowhere and you said, "What I don't get is why is it buying and why is it?" So I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where you're going with that.
That is the point that he's been trying to make, but he keeps telling you that. But you're too busy being a smart ass to listen to what he's saying. You're being a wise ass.
I try to answer it.
This whole time you've been giggling and being a fucking wise ass, and I'm tired of
literally. You're going. Okay, sis, you're going on to a level.
Tell you to come back here next week because you're getting on my damn nerves.
You're going on to a level where it's like it like we're having I don't.
Right, but you don't get your fucking sarcastic ass out of here. I'm about to kick you a puppy.
But you literally being.
Listen. This guy's been being very sarcastic, Baba, and my temper. I don't have the best temper. I try to be patient, but there's a limit. I'm trying to be patient, Baba, and let you guys. I'm gonna let y'all have this conversation, but I don't like the disrespect that he's just talking over you. He's being the tone, everything. Like it's a very smart aleck ass tone, and I just don't appreciate it. When you're talking to an elder, and there's a time where you're supposed to have respect. I'm not sure how old you are, young man, but you are not showing any respect to the elder. When you're trying to outsmart a person that's telling you, bro, I've done it. I've been here. I was there when the people, with the group that started the goddamn Hebrew Israelites. He was there with Ben Ami and all the people that started this shit. And you up here talking like a wise ass and over talking people and being disrespectful, and then you got this smirk on your face. I can see it I can hear it. This fucking stupid ass smirk. I need to listen. Come back next week. Listen to some of the things he said. Come back next week, and then y'all have a conversation. And and maybe you could just relax and not be an asshole. But right now, I'm not for it because I could be taking my kids to the park. It's dark now. You're not going to disrespect me on my platform.
Yeah, let's wrap it up now, and we don't have to. He came as a guest. We're gonna keep it that way, and I enjoy. But let's wrap it up.
Yo, Baba, I kid you not. You a witness. Come on, you got to be a witness. Me and you was literally having a great conversation and build. I don't understand where you see. I understand how it is when it comes to Israelites and when it comes to other people. Everybody thinks it's a debate. Meanwhile, it's just a build between two brothers. It's an elder and a youngster, and I respected you through the whole way. So how is it that every time she come out of nowhere, it's the only time that has us going into some mumbo jumbo for like maybe a whole 2-3 minutes, and then we go back to our thing? Like, I just don't get it. If she's not in the conversation, it's okay. Maybe she could get in the conversation and have some cool things to say, but it makes no sense. We've been here respectfully, just having a literal elder to youngster, having a good conversation and building. You said take notes.
Let's give it a fresh start. Let's give it a fresh start next week. Let's give it a fresh start next week, and we'll come back and we'll do this.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do a whole nother session.
Boss say, this ain't the end of it. This ain't it.
Oh no, definitely not.
I haven't kicked you off. I've allowed him to speak. I've allowed him to express himself. There was just a thing where I see how you just interrupted me.
Sister.
You see how you're interrupting me, not let me finish. But here's the thing: is that I knew that there was something that Baba was. That's not being negative. I'm showing you that you don't know. You don't know how to like that. Maybe it's because I don't know.
It's negative.
Baba was trying to make a point, and he kept trying to make the point, but you kept talking over him and trying to talk around the point. And I said, okay, well, let me get up here and try to show the scripture so that he can see the point that Baba was trying to make. And Baba just said, that's the point the point that I made is the point that he's been trying to make. But you're too busy trying to say I'm interrupting to really see that I was just making it more plain what he was the point that he was trying to make, that you were over talking. And maybe next week you can come back and learn how to and be a little bit more paced and not and this is your first time coming up on a panel, you know what I'm saying, as you said, maybe you could be more relaxed and let each other talk, and it'll be cool. We've been here for almost 3 hours now.
All
so
right.
Excuse me if my patience
out there, they also for the showing the information for the audience to look at for themselves, because it ain't just here. People out there looking, and they ain't saying anything, but they're hearing, and it's important that they get an understanding of what's being said, and this is important.
It's not just about the conversation that you're having with Baba. It's got to be clear for also the audience, because they're learning from your conversation. So I have to step in and I have to make it plain what's being said, because you don't realize that you're speaking at the same time or sometimes interrupting. So I have to reiterate what he said that got kind of jumbled, because you might have interjected at the end of what he said and it might not have gotten heard by the audience. This is not just a phone conversation. This is a conversation that's being shared with other people, and they have to hear what's going on as well. And this is for educational purposes. So
can I speak?
Every kid had a statement she was making, Sister Monica, and narcissistic and gaslighting.
May I speak? More respectful.
True spirituality and worship involves a mixture of African and Native American concepts combined, including ancestor worship, animism, and the divine creator of all, the universe and everything in it. Ashe. Thank you, Cherokee Janae. Please come back here next week. He's like, oh my God, he's literally causing a gender divide.
Can I speak though?
So we know they're listening. We know they're listening. We know.
Right. I don't have to say nothing. I didn't say nothing about gender. I didn't say nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
That is the impression that the audience is getting from how you're reacting. You gotta think about that.
They turned it into a rally.
Anyway,
I don't think that you're reading the room, honey. You gotta learn how to read the room and kind of
come on, it's beautiful. But anyway, Supermarket. Money making money.
Right, yeah, right.
Money making money. Come on, wrap it up.
I can't with them.
I am blessed. make money, money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. I ain't stressed, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. Gratitude is my attitude. I'm making money moves. Jewelry in the safe, piggy bank on full. And I'm living life abundant. I'm making money fast. I'm a money making magnet, making cold hard cash. I'm making money. Oh, I am blessed.
So I want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to thank my guests. Thank you, Mr. Israel. Make sure you come back next week. Thank you for popping in. We're here every week at 6 p.m. I want to thank the audience for sticking with us. It's been 3 hours, you guys. This is crazy. Thank you, Cherokee, Janae, Tyrone Slater for popping in. We've had a whole bunch of people in the audience today. We've had who else was here? We had Justice for the LPA. Magan Israel, and a few other people. I haven't mentioned it. Okay, Elias Fayo, J Hub. Thanks everybody for coming through through today. Make sure you're here next week. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to like and subscribe. Let me give you Baba's number if you want to actually talk one-on-one with Baba Yashabiyah. His number is 318-412-2160. And his name is Baba Yashabiyah. You could actually call him on the phone. He's just a phone call away. Thank you, Cherokee. Yes, you're part of our tribe as well. Much love. Thank you and peace.
I am blessed to make money, money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. I ain't stressed, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. Gratitude is my attitude. I'm making money move.